All right, we're live. So it says, I hope it says, um, got some got some new stuff for y'all. And we'll just see. We got 3 people in the house, it says. We'll wait for a few more people to show up before we really jump into anything. Let me see here. What do we got? We can talk about the awesome channel members. We got 6. Blue Sky is in the house. I see you. What's up? Whoever else is here. If you can't hear me, if something's wrong with the video, let me know. I'm playing with some new equipment. I tested it all out as much as I possibly could. I'm playing around with some different software. I'm trying to up my game. And I got the stuff on a budget with some of just a couple $100 out of the YouTube money that they sent me for that bonus. I figured I'd put some back into the show. And I got a bare bones basic microphone, condenser mic, a decent webcam. You're going to see me looking down a lot until I got to rearrange the way I'm using my screens. Hey, Glenn Beedshaw, what is up? Good to see you. Once again, just let me know. Give me a thumbs up, whatever it is. As long as you can hear me, we're good. It's got 8 people in the house now. I'll wait till we get to there we go, 10 before I jump in. So here are the awesome channel members. We got Key Rod, Angels in Our Midst, Alex and Analog, John S.J., otherwise known as JS. And we got Jared Smith, another JS, but not JS. So that's cool. And we got Blue Sky. So the other live stream for the members only, all you cool cats out there, will be on Sunday, December 7th at 2 p.m. We'll go back to the regular schedule until we get closer to Christmas. And I'm going to mess around. I've got some ideas on how to do the plugs a little bit better. I'm not going to pin a link into the live chat stream today, but from now on, I'll be pinning a link. I'm just going to set up a quick link tree page with all the different links that you might want to click on to all the different links that you can click on to find me on social media and everywhere else under the sun. I'll even put my professional links there. I don't really care. I have a professional set of links that don't necessarily reveal my YouTube channel to any prospective clients or jobs that I'm trying to apply to. I mean, I'm out there. I don't care. But I'm not just going to be like, hey, come check out my YouTube channel while I blast corporate America while I'm trying to get a job with you. So I'm not going to do that. Let's see here. So I did get approved on X to switch my account handle to Lit Good. It took about a week, maybe 2 weeks from the initial request to get it done. So X is if you have a paid membership. Now I got to stick with that. It's another bill, but I'm going to tell you, I could probably pull up the stats. It's actually having an impact. They really do promote you and help you grow if you pay them. It's pay to play. The amount of engagement I get has gone through the roof, and I'm hardly putting any effort into it. If I actually put effort into it, I can probably get hundreds of thousands of followers on X if I just stick with a routine, because it's growing. And I figured I cracked the code a little bit. I got over 100 and something followers in like a week, just screwing around, not even trying, which is better than the growth on YouTube. To be honest, I haven't grown a single subscriber in 16 months on this YouTube channel because of the shadow ban. And so we'll just take it as it goes. I'm not, whatever happens, happens, With that, I'll just jump into the main topic and go full screen with my video. I can also do this kind of cool stuff too. I can hit you like this. I can hit you like that. I can hit you with the full screen share. I can show up in the corner. I can show up in both corners. I got some things figured out. So I'm getting there. one day at a time. But right now, I'm in Volkswagen hell. That's the main topic. I'm going to try and put a main topic for the weekly live stream and just kind of pick something and make a thumbnail that grabs more people's attention. And then maybe focus in on that topic, and whatever else we talk about, we talk about. But I'll get into that since we got a good number of viewers. And so my notes are all over the place. I'm going to jump around on the timeline. I'm not going to give it to you linear. I'm just going to kind of tell you what's going on with the car and why I never want another Volkswagen again. And it's not completely their fault, but this is not a good, I'm not having a good week at all right now. I'm shot out mentally. I can hardly do this. And I will, like I said, I will try to, I wonder if I'm going to try a little something here while I talk to you guys to see if I can do file. Oh, come on. File. I have to talk to myself when I'm trying to do computer stuff on the fly. Okay. I mean, that might actually help me look at the camera while I talk to you guys. And then, okay, I can just do that, kind of bounce back and forth. It's hard. We'll just go with this. So Monday, it's cold week. I had this all scheduled. Well, not totally scheduled, but I did call on Friday and scheduled to bring my car to the garage after work on Monday. And I've done a couple of things to make sure that the car will start even when it's cold. Space heaters. That's the short of it. I'll get into more detail on that in a few. I got into a lot of detail on that on the members only stream, but not everybody. If y'all wondering what I'm doing with the car, I'll get into all the details. So I dropped the car off at this garage Monday after work. And now we had talked over the phone, and I thought I knew what the problem was with the car. And they actually called me back an hour or two after we talked on the phone. And I said, can you just give me a ballpark estimate of what it would cost if this part needs to be replaced? And they called me back and they said, yes, with the part and the labor and the reprogramming of the car, it'll be about $800, give or take. We might be able to get it cheaper if we buy a used part. But, basically I had to plan on this costing $800. So that's what I was planning on. Tuesday morning, about 11 a.m., this garage calls me up and they said, it's going to cost $2,000 to fix your car. And I'm like, what? And it's the same part that they quoted me on before, the same procedure, and everything the same as what they quoted me over the phone for $800. And now they're trying to say it's going to be $2,000 for that job. So I'm calling bullshit right off the bat. I'm calling bullshit. I don't know why they're trying to scam me, but it definitely they're definitely scanning me. So I said, I didn't want to tell them I'm going to pull the car and take it to a different garage. Anyway, when I told them I was going to pick up the car and not get the work done, they turned around and called me back and said they'll drop the price down to $1,200 for a used it's a computer module. A gateway module is what it's called. And they're going to drop it down to $1,200 if for a used part with no warranty. It would be as is. If it works, it works. If not, oh well. So I'm like, all right, no, I've done my homework on this. They told me exactly what I was expecting to have to fix. I called 2 other garages while I was waiting for them to screw around with my car to get a price comparison. One garage that specializes in German cars told me $900 for a brand new part from Volkswagen, including programming and labor, out the door. Gave me a formal quote. And then I had to look at the quote again. There were some fees like, hazmat fees and stuff, those kinds of things, which I don't understand why they would be there. But basically about $1,000 out the door with a brand new part, 12-month, 12,000 mile warranty. Still more than I was expecting, but not $2,000 and not $1,200 for a used part with no warranty. So I'm already like, screw you guys on that first one. Another garage close to home, walking distance from me, told me that there's absolutely no way that repair would cost $2,000. And they asked me, pick up the car and stop over here. We'll run a scan tool on it and we'll take a look at some things and we'll let you know what we think. And so the original shop, when I told them I'm going to get the car and not have them do the repair yet, they spent all day jerking me around, the entire day. I mean, I called them back at noon and said, I want to get the car back. They're going to charge me. They charged me $200 for a diagnostic fee. And I know that they pulled out the module and did some tests. They sent me pictures of the module. They sent me screenshots from their, they gave me a report. So I know they actually did stuff to the car, but they jerked around with me all day long. They were trying to stall. So finally, about 4:00 in the afternoon, I'm like, I'm coming to get the car, but have it done. Paid them their $200 fucking dollars. I'm mad. I'm really mad right now because this is like just the beginning. I kept calling them all day. Can I come get my car? Oh, so-and-so is out to lunch. You can't talk to that other person's out to lunch. I'll see what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And I was starting to get the suspicion they might sabotage my car. But then I finally, at like 4:00, they close it. Everything closes at 6. So I'm like, I'm coming to get my car. Have it ready. And paid the $200, got the report from them as a PDF file, my email. And of course, it was cold outside. So I go to start the car won't start. I was expecting that. I had a backpack. I have one of the things I did to make sure the car will start is I bought a 200-watt portable space heater, small, little, where's my other hand? There it is. Little space heater. And I bought a portable power supply to power it with, which wouldn't work on the heater. And that UPS backup for my computers that I was talking about buying over the summer, I actually had to use that in conjunction with the portable power supply to power the space heater in my car. But I got something that works. So I can run a heater in my car for up to an hour and a half on this battery and warm up the car enough till the car will start. So anyway, at the garage, I was a little nervous because the car wouldn't start. The other trick is to pop the hood. Take the battery terminals off and clamp them together. Rub them together for about 10 seconds. I don't know what this does. I was just told to do it. And this works numerous times. Put the battery clamps back on the battery. Get in the car. Car started right up. No errors. Nothing wrong. Drove it to the second shop. So I got that done. I initially got a good impression from the second shop. It was close to quitting time, so I wasn't expecting them to do anything, but they did run a scan tool diagnostic and gave me the results, a link to it so I could see everything it said. And they were thinking that based on the previous report from the other garage and some of the other things, they were like, we think that maybe we can pop that module open and just resolder some contact points that may have gotten deteriorated over time. So we want part of our diagnostic. We want to pull the module out, open it up and see what's going on inside. Because if we can just solder and reflow the points on that board, we can put it back in your car and you'd be good to go and it'll save you a lot of money. And that's what they were getting at. And so, like I said, it was close to quitting time. I went home. I left it overnight. So now it's Wednesday. It's yesterday. I'm still waiting to hear back. In the meantime, somebody said I should call Volkswagen because this is a well-known defective part that they've. Supposedly this is an extremely common problem on this car. And they basically made shitty electronics. And whereas a Toyota, you wouldn't have this problem. I don't know. Anyway, somebody said you should call Volkswagen because sometimes they'll cover people out of warranty for something like this. It's something that should have been a recall, but they never recalled it. They wrote out the warranties on these and basically, did what they had to do under warranty. And then after that, like, we're done. So, but I never expected anything out of it. And of course, I called them and they told me to go pound sand, as I thought they would. But I put them on speakerphone and had my phone off to the side. It didn't matter. It didn't waste any of my time. I was doing other things. The only positive, I guess, of that is that they put me down as the owner of the vehicle. So if there's any open recalls or anything like that, I'll know, I'll find out, be able to do what, there could be something like that coming my way. But either way, the car, I don't even know, like, what to think right now. I know other things can be expensive, a blown head gasket, a bad transmission. The reason why I'm done with Volkswagen is because a tiny little part the size of an Atari 2600 cartridge is what's bad. And the part, brand new from Volkswagen, the part is $400 to $500. So where this other garage is getting $2,000 to do the repair, they told me it would be like 3 hours at the most to reprogram the computer after replacing the part. So a $400, $500 part in 3 hours labor costs $2,000. I kept trying to get them to explain where they're coming up with 2,000 from, and they just didn't make sense at all. So I'm like, I couldn't do it. I picked it up. I paid. I ate the money, took it to the next shop. Now my budget, I had $4,000 as a budget for my car. I didn't have, it's not like I have money to spend. So I wasn't expecting to get a car with no problems. This particular problem, though, I mean, if you can, an Atari, put it this way, an Atari game from 1977, you can still play that today. You put it in an Atari, the Atari will still work and the game will still work. 99% of the time, those things, if a freaking Atari cartridge from 1977 can still work today, then there's no reason that an Atari cartridge inside your car should stop working at that point. But this gets even crazier. So, I don't know. I mean, I could kick myself for choosing the wrong car, but I mean, I was about to buy a Subaru with almost 400,000 miles on it, with an engine that had 100,000 miles on it. But everything on this car had been replaced. I mean, you could just see it was in excellent shape for that age and that mileage and everything. Yeah, I mean, Glenn Beedshaw with your Volkswagen. I don't really know what to think about this right now, but it gets crazier. I'm going to bounce around a little bit and just talk about it freeform. So this other shop, I took it there Tuesday night. They're closed now. They've had it all day yesterday and all day today. They sent me a document that shows they looked at the car from bumper to bumper and they pointed out every single thing that they found on the car. Like tons of small, nothing that's like has to be fixed right now, but it was very thorough. So I will give them that. Pictures, they showed me photographs, they did all this stuff, right? I've been calling them for 2 straight days going, what is the price to fix this problem? And they just keep jerking me around. They won't give me a price. They won't tell me what's going on. 2 whole days have gone by and all I get is, well, they're still looking at it and they're testing this and they're looking at that and they're trying to see this and that and the other thing. And I'm like, it's been 2 whole fucking days. So tomorrow, I was patient yesterday and today. tomorrow I'm going to have to be like, look, if you can't even, it's been 2 days, how much to replace the module and how much labor? Don't tell me that you can't come up with a number to fix this car. I mean, maybe I'm off base. Maybe they're busy and they've been messing around with it and looking into it, but they're not 100% sure what they want to do. And I want to try to give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe they're trying to see if they can fix it without replacing the part and save some money. So I don't know how many hours they got into the job, but they already had me authorize $137 for their diagnostic fee. But I can tell you they've done a lot from the report they sent me back. So now I've got a comprehensive list of everything that they think the car needs. And I told them, I said, don't go thinking that you're going to send me a quote to fix everything that you just found on this car on top of what I'm asking you to fix. If that's the game that they're going to play and then try to hold me hostage, I'll go pick the damn car up and have it towed somewhere at this point. But I just don't know what to do. They won't give me a price after 2 days. They can look up the cost of the part and they know what the labor is. They know what the labor is to fix it. They can give me a price. I'm holding off on paying rent. I'm back to being completely flat broke again because of this. I was in good position and now all of a sudden I'm not. All because I have to plan on who knows what. So I'm withholding my rent right now because I don't know what to do. The car's at the garage. I don't know what to do. I'm kind of afraid that if they started messing around with this thing and they put it back together, tell me to come pick it up, that the car won't start at all because maybe they fried it and they're playing around with it. I don't know, man. I am just completely pissed off right now because I'm starting to feel like I'm being hosed and raped and taken advantage of by yet a second auto garage. The first one was for sure. The second one, I'm going to try and give them the benefit of the doubt and wait until they tell me what it's going to cost. But why would they be screwing around with this thing for 2 days and not be able to tell me? I just don't understand. We'll see what happens. I'm just going to leave it at that because, I mean, throw your comments in if you think you have some thoughts on that. But this does not seem normal to me at all. This seems very scammy. But the thing is, they have hundreds of 5-star reviews on Google Maps, fair price. People say all kinds of good things about them. It's part of the reason why I called them when I was looking for another garage to go to. And I talked to them for a long time on Tuesday when I dropped off the car. Oh, the next move is if I have to go pick it up from this garage, John S., is the only thing I'm going to do is go to that German garage that quoted me $1,000. I thought it was 900, but there's an extra 75 in fee. Let's just say it's $1,000. And I'm just going to say, replace the part. I don't care about anything else. Replace the damn part so I can drive the car. So I don't know, man. But the thing is, this thing has cost me so much money now. I can't even. Okay, so I spent $140 on a battery for the car to replace the battery. I spent $140 on the 200-watt portable space heater and that portable power station. Pretty cheap for what that was. Black Friday prices, but still. Then I paid $90 for a 1,500-watt space heater and a 25-foot long extension cord. So from home in the morning before I leave, I can take this little space heater out to the car, put it in the footwell, 25-foot extension cord, plug it into the wall, let it run for half an hour, 40 minutes or so, car starts right up. I can drive straight to work, no problem. Boo-hoo, we did break the record. 25 in the house. Booyah! Must be the new microphone in the thumbnail for the video. But okay, so I can run a space heater at home plugged in the passenger, the footwell of the front driver's seat, pointed at the module, and it warms up the car enough to drive. No problems. The other problem I'm having is when I go to this job, if it's cold all day, the car isn't warm enough to start. So that's where the space heater, the 200-watt little space heater, came into play. And the way that I put this together, I don't really have images to show you, but the way that I had to do it, the portable power supply would not power it's a 300-watt portable power supply and a 200-watt space heater. But what happened is when I plugged the heater into the power supply, the space heater goes up to about 360 watts to start, and the power supply doesn't like it. So it trips and it shuts off and it won't power the heater. And I was kind of mad because this was like Sunday night and I needed it for Monday, and I was just rolling the dice on Amazon to see if I could do this. And so it worked when I went to bed, and it was when I had that clarity of my mind was just, I wasn't even thinking about it anymore. I realized, wait a minute, light bulb, I've got a UPS backup, an APC UPS backup for my computer system, and I'm not even really using it right now. It's just laying there, fully charged and everything. So I plugged the space heater into that, and the space heater, the little light on the UPC would flash for about 4 or 5 seconds. And then when the heater starts to throw out heat, the UPC was fine. It was like, okay, solid light, we're good. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I can take that UPC, plug it into the portable power supply. So I've got 2 batteries daisy chained together to run this space heater. And so, I mean, this is kind of a, this isn't just to fix my car. Some of these expenses can be for a power outage or something along those lines someday. So it kind of sucks that I got to take all this with me to work, but on the cold day in the afternoon on Monday, about an hour before I left the bakery, I go out to the car, I plug the space heater into the UPC into the portable power supply, turn everything on, fires up, heater's throwing heat. I put the heater up in there so it can get some good heat in the area it needs to get heat to, and I let it run for over an hour. I came back out to the car, it was still running. The portable power supply had dropped off. It shut off because it drained the battery. That battery was indicating I'd get an hour. And according to AI calculations, the UPC was supposed to give me an extra half hour. And that was true to the word because, I have not been able to run that combo long enough to know how long I actually get to run the heater, but it was more than enough. The car started right up without any problem. I drove to the auto garage. Actually, I drove home first and completely emptied out the car. Everything in the trunk, everything in the car, just to have, so there's nothing in there. Glenn Beedshaw, it's a 2012 Passat with the naturally aspirated 5-cylinder engine. And right now it needs a new gateway module. And so, but it's not just the part, but it has to be reprogrammed using, a high-end software tool. And so VCDS or something even more robust than that. Any of these garages can do it. So the 2 charges are basically the labor of, the part is easy to get to and easy to take in and out. It's very accessible. But the programming can take 1 to 3 hours, depending on who's doing it and what needs done and whatnot. So I'm just kind of not sure. You can get the part on eBay used for like $150. I mean, if I could if it was as simple as unplug the thing and plug a new one in, I'd do it myself at this point. I can pull the stereo out. It's behind the stereo system. You pull the radio out and boom, it's right there. 2 plugs, Pop, pop, it's out, back in. So anyway, I've been driving around with portable space heaters to keep my car because it's been a cold week. I mean, we're in like 40s, 50s every day here. I know, Northeast is a lot worse, but so anyway, I paid 140 for the battery, 140 for the portable space heaters, another 90 for a space heater and an extension cord. Mainly because I'm starting over and I don't have things I should, a normal guy who's 50 years old would have. Um, yeah, I did ask AI how to do it. That's why I'm taking it to the garage. That's beyond me. That's not. I would have to spend tons of money just to get the software and stuff to do it. And no, we're that's not happening. Um, it's too complicated and if something goes wrong, then I'm even worse off than I already am. But it's not a super complicated job. It's pretty straightforward for a garage to do. So anyway, $202 for the bullshit diagnostic fee from the garage that wanted $2,000 to fix it. So I'm in about $700 already, not even close to having the car fixed yet. And now I owe this new garage $140 in diagnostic fees again, and I still don't even have a quote to get the damn thing fixed. So we're up to $840 now with no fix in sight, keeping in mind that some of the things that I've spent the money on have multiple purposes, not specifically for the car, but the car is the reason I did it. And this wasn't $800 shelled out all at once. It's been over a month here in the, get this thing, get that thing. Oh God, a Ford Taurus I'd be in the same boat. I'd never get another Ford. I'll never get another Ford. No, it's not the labor costs have skyrocketed. They told me it was going to be $800, about $500 for the part and $300 labor. That's what they told me up front at this first garage. And that was an over the phone quote for this exact part and the exact labor to put it in. And now they're telling me the same part and the same labor time is now all of a sudden $2,000. They're adding an extra $1,200 to the original quote they gave me over the phone. And I think that they thought they could just screw me and I would just eat it because I'm a stupid gringo or something like that. I mean, that is a thing. I hate to sound racist, but like, I believe if I was Spanish, I would have got a cheaper price at that garage. Now, this other garage that I've taken it to, I don't even know, man. I don't even know. All I know is that it's hard to find a good mechanic. When you find one, it's worth its weight in gold. Yeah, okay. It's a 2001 Ford Taurus wagon, 275,000 kilometers. Runs nearly perfect, but it's getting hard to find parts. Yeah, I mean, you never really know what you're going to get. This garage found other things on the Volkswagen I wasn't even thinking of. And I mean, altogether, if I wanted to fix everything that they found, it would cost me more than what I paid for the car and way more than the car's worth. Some of the I would say 3 of the things would be advisable to do within the next few months, but they're not going to stop me from getting to work and back. I told them, I'm like, look, I want a price to fix this problem and nothing else. You can give me a price for all the other things that you're listing here. Because if this turns out to be a decent garage, I'm still not going to drop judgment on them yet. But the way they've been jerking me around for the last 2 days, and I'm just going to double check. Yeah. I was supposed to know by 3:00 today, and I'm still getting jerked around. But AI says that for this problem, taking 3 days to diagnose it at a busy shop might not be out of line. So I'm just trying to hold my cool. I already know I have to ride my bicycle to work on Saturday and Monday. It's going to be 40 degrees in the morning, 30 degrees on another day. It's going to be cold and I'm not going to enjoy it. I need 3 more bike rides to get 2,000 miles in for the, or 4,000 miles in for the year. So maybe, all right. But I'll get back to, you got to shop around for a mechanic. Sometimes you have to get a second or a third opinion when you feel like you're getting scammed. This wouldn't be the first time it's happened to me. But I'm just looking around here in my notes. So I don't even know. What do I talk about? Rip off garages. Okay, so I feel like, okay, I've said this like 4 times. I'm not saying this to be mean. Here's a suggestion. Adam, buy the part from Volkswagen with a warranty and change it out yourself. You don't just get to change it out. When you change the gateway module, you have to reprogram the whole computer, the whole car. And it's up a 1 to 3 hour process hooked up to a $10,000 scanner running Volkswagen software or whatever the equivalent is of that. I've looked into this extensively. If I wanted to do it myself, I would have to buy a special cable and software for Windows. And then I would have to cross my fingers and hope for the best that I could use my Surface tablet to run the software and reprogram the module after I put the module in. And then that, it's 1 to 3 hours labor for that. The first garage said they charged $300 for programming. So combined with the $500 part, it should have been $800. I just don't know. Where are you getting the extra $1,200 is, let's see if we can scam this gringo. That's what it was. I'm just going to say it. I did not get a good vibe from this shop. They're right down the street from me, but I did not feel good about it. So I took the car back, took it to the next shop. Gut feeling wise, this other shop was much better in terms of the vibe I got from them, which is all you got to go on at this point. So, but anyway, you never know. I mean, garages and, I never take my vehicle to the dealership unless there's something that only a dealership can do, or it's a warranty issue. They're going to rape you. They're going to do a shitty job more often than not. I can tell you about some other experiences I've had with this. My opinion is, when something's wrong with your car, you should do as much research as you possibly can in the time that you have, so that you at least are educated with what might be wrong before you go to a garage. That way you can get a good vibe if you feel like you're being hosed, because this isn't the first time. I had a Ford Probe back in the late 90s. I was driving home from work one day. I knew I needed new brakes, but one day I was coming home from work and all of a sudden I heard when I hit the brake pedal. I'm like, crap, I'm down past the pads. So I get to the, okay, I'm going to answer B, Glenn here. The programming is the issue with the right to repair. On this particular car, I can buy the software. I can get the cable. I could do it myself. It's expensive. It's not. And now I'm into, like, I could turn my car into a brick if I do it wrong. Like this, like sometimes it's above my pay grade to do it myself. And but it's not a big deal for a shop that does this all the time, and they have the software and they know what they're doing. It may not be the oil change guy and the tire change guy that does the job. They might need they need an actual tech. But anyway, just do your homework as best you can. Sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I don't know what I'm getting into. I always try to at least figure out what I'm getting into before I go visit a garage, because it's like the scariest place on earth is like prison, garage, the hospital. Like, those are the 3 places I never want to go. So the brake job on my Ford Probe, I'm coming home from work and I hear, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Um, what am I going to do? So I'm like, I gotta get brakes tomorrow. So, I mean, I drove like 5 to 10 miles like that, and I'm expecting I'll need rotors and pads. So I go to this one local shop that seemed like they would be a small time shop that probably wouldn't charge a lot. And this guy pull in, he looks under the car, he blah blah blah. He comes out, he goes, "You need new brake lines. You need all four calipers replaced. You need all four brake rotors and all new pads." And he works up a quote of like $1,500 or some crazy shit like that. And I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here, dude! It was my front brakes." I'm like, "Nope, we're out of here." I'm like, I just grabbed the car and left. I'm like, "No way, dude." So there was a Pep Boys right across the street, like maybe 3 blocks down ish. And I'm like, well, I normally don't want to go here, but I mean, I've got to get this done now. I pull into Pep Boys, I go in, I tell them what's going on. They're like, let's take a look. This was back in the day when they would turn your brake rotors on a lathe if they weren't worn out too bad. So they resurfaced my rotors and put new pads on. I was out 75 bucks out the door, had my brakes fixed. $1,500 or $75, and the $75 job was fine. I never had a problem with it after that. This guy at this original garage, he was telling me, well, because you drove on those brakes without, yeah, exactly, scam artist. He told me because I wore the brake pads down to the bare bones that I ruined my calipers and my brake lines were leaking and all this other crap. And he just lied. And I'm like, you're full of shit. And I took the car and, like I said, went across the street and I paid. And this was back in the late '90s. Okay, so keep in mind, 75 bucks I paid for 4 brake pads, and they put the brake rotors on a lathe and resurfaced them, and everything was fine. I'll tell you another time. I had a Jeep Liberty and the AC compressor went bad. Now I called a garage that I liked and trusted, who had done work for me in the past and always given me good prices and good labor. And they did a good job, and they were a high end shop, so they were not the cheapest shop on my list of people to trust. But I figured I'd call them first. They quoted me $1,700 to replace the AC compressor. I called 3 other garages. Jeep Liberty is one of the worst vehicles I ever owned, to answer that comment. Yes, terrible vehicle. But the 2-door JK Wrangler, oh, speaking of, I'm going to take this call live. Hello, this is Adam. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Hmm. 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 Driver's side. Okay. Okay. All right. That sounds fair. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you took the time to thoroughly diagnose it instead of just throwing parts at the, wall to see what sticks. So, I know BCM was another one that my research was pointing to. Um, oh, PCM. Okay, that one's in the glove box side. Okay. 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 So you think it's just that one module that needs? Okay. Right. Right. Hmm. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, what time frame do you, if that's what it is, what time frame you think to get the car back in my hands? All right. All right. All right. I mean, if that's yeah, if that yeah, I mean, if that's what it comes down to, but yeah, I mean, I'm 3 bicycle rides away from hitting 4,000 miles for the year, so I'm not like, you know, if I have to do it, it's meant to be. But yeah, I mean, we can talk tomorrow. And you said it's the PCM. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, then we'll go from there. No, I appreciate the call. So thanks for getting back to me, and I'll just wait for you to call tomorrow. All right. See ya. All right, you got it live. Um, all right, so now, so I guess it's like How do I don't have a bad impression about these guys yet because it sounds like they've put a bunch of time into this car trying to figure out exactly what's wrong with it so they don't misdiagnose it. Now they're telling me it's probably a different module, not the one that we've been thinking all along. And they said they can reproduce the issue. So they can, they got my car to start with a space heater and all of a sudden everything went back to working again. And so they've been isolating the different components, heating them up one by one, trying to figure out which component is the culprit. And the tech told the person up front that they think they have it isolated to which component it is. Now, I'm not even going to look up the price of this thing on while while we're on the exactly, moonshine. That's why I kept saying over and over again, I'm upset because they've had my car for 2 days, but I don't I know, for real, but I don't want to badmouth them or automatically assume the worst because the other garage that quoted me $2,000, they're just going to throw parts at me. Up, $2,000 didn't fix it. Bring it back in. Another $2,000 might get it done. You know what I mean? Like, these guys were saying that they don't even want to order a part for me if they can solder the part that's messed up and fix it. And so I'm like, I don't know at this point. And there's something, I mean, I don't even know. My notes are all over the place. My thoughts are all over the place. The person that sold me this car knew it was fucked up, without a doubt. And I know why. I could even show you the picture. Wasn't anything I was going to know, but they definitely, whoever owned this car before, definitely did not, they were not honest in their ad. It's a used car. What are you going to do? Am I going to disclose every single thing that I know is wrong with the car when I put it up for sale? I'm just going to be like, oh no. I mean, maybe I'll be honest. I mean, I don't know. I would rather be honest and get a fair price when I go to sell it. So they're going to let it sit overnight and then they're going to go back tomorrow morning. So, I mean, they're charging me $137 to do their diagnostic, but they've been screwing around with it for 3 days and screwing around with trying to pinpoint the problem. And I'm like, the other garage charged me $200 to pull the thing out, shake it, say, yup, it's fucked up, $2,000, put it back in. They charged me $200 for that, a basic report that was like half a page of text and some photos. These guys have had the car for more than 2 days, and they've given me a printout, a PDF of like 10 pages long, I swear, photos of every single thing in the car. Now they're like, oh, they took the module out and they took the module apart. And here's where I'll get at. This is how I know the person that sold me the car knew they were doing me dirty. When they took apart the module that they thought was bad, someone has gone into that module and resoldered it before, and it was kind of sloppy. And they took pictures and showed me. They're like, look at these solders. Like, that didn't come from the factory like that. Somebody went in and resoldered all these points, but it's not clean. And so maybe DIY, who knows? But I mean, I can't say I would do a good job, but I wouldn't do it. Yeah, I'm not a soldering guy. I've done it. I know how. It's why I don't do it, because it's not for me. Not everybody's good at everything. Electronics is Achilles heel for me. I don't know. Plug it in, unplug it, plug it back in, unplug it. I don't know. Clean the contacts. I can do the basic shit. In a grid down world ending scenario, I could probably figure out how to solder again. You know what I mean? My dad, my stepdad taught me how to fix my Atari. Speaking of Atari, back in the day when the joystick thing would get loose, he would be like, "Oh, we can fix that. Get out the soldering gun." He taught me. He's like, "Here, bop, 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 boom, you're good." And it'd wear out again in another few months, and I'd be like, and I got to the point I could just do it myself. Um, so, um, anyway, so I'm not. I'm trying to figure this out, how to get my head around this. I'm just hoping I don't get scammed. Um, I don't know. I'm kind of just, I don't know if this car is a lemon because I paid $3,800 for it. I mean, what are you going to expect for a car that cheap? If I put a little bit of money into it, can I get away with going 2 years without it? It's got a ripped CV boot. I'm going to need brakes within a few months. I'm going to need tires in alignment. Those are normal things. The CV boot, if I just replace the boot, okay. But either way, I'll share some more stories. I'm like I said, my mind is a little bit shot out, so bear with me, but I have, stuff. I hope the lighting's better, the video, I hope the audio quality's better. Um I do have a nice light. You can see my hand, how bright it is. I did get a Logitech light that I can control the brightness of on my screen here. It synchronizes with the Logitech webcam that you're looking at right there, and it's a 1080p. It's 60 frame per second if I set it to 720p. So it's not the best camera, but it's way better, in my opinion, than the FaceTime camera that you see here if I swap this out like that. And I gave OBS another shot, which is a live video editing suite. It was buggy the first time I tried using it for stuff, but then all of a sudden I tried it again yesterday actually, and I'm like, this isn't that bad. I can bounce here. I can share my screen. You can see my notes there. You can see me in the corner, the other corner, boom. But I mean, I can do all kinds of cool stuff with this, way beyond what you can do with just the YouTube settings. I can start really having some fun. I can tie this into I can tie it into what do you call it? Zoom. I can probably hook Zoom up to this and get live, I can get people on the live stream live, whether I do it through Zoom or some other means. So there's a lot of things to explore. So I'm cool with that. But anyway, I was talking about, don't be the dumb woman who drops off a car at the garage to pay $200 for a blinker fluid flush. You know what I mean? Like, you do a little bit of homework and figure out what you're going to get into. Yeah, the audio is way better. This is not the best microphone. This is a $60 microphone, and the boom and the shock mount all come with it. I mean, that's about as cheap as it gets. It's a USB and XLR jack. It's got independent controls on the back of the mic. It's a condenser mic, so if I'm talking at the same volume, you can probably barely hear me now. But if I get really close to it, it's like boom, it's nice and loud. That's what a condenser mic does. It's supposed to eliminate background noise to an extent. So I feel like this shop is doing their due diligence, and if they turn out to be a good shop and I'm comfortable with them, I'll make it my go-to shop. I'm like that. Once I find a good mechanic, I'm on it. I'm there. I'm a loyal customer because it's hard to find. Like I told you, the AC compressor on my Jeep Liberty, 1700, another garage said 500. I went to the cheaper garage, got the job done. It lasted about as long as the AC compressor on a Jeep Liberty. That thing's going to last 2 years. It's going to break again. It's exactly what happened. Yeah, always at least Google, and you can use AI now. uh, Google Gemini, Grok, Chat GPT. I don't like Chat GPT out of all the different AIs, but Grok, Chat GPT, Google Gemini, those are the three big ones. I use Grok as my default, especially now because I'm paying for X. So I get unlimited time with Grok. I can sit there and talk all day with Grok. Um, yeah, I mean, this is the built-in pop filter, the foam that you see on a mic like this. So I can pop, 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 and it's not gonna blow out the levels. I can bump the levels up a little bit on this thing. So I'm gonna play around with it, but um, this was my gift. This was my bonus YouTube money that I spent a couple $100, got a microphone, a camera, and a light, and I figure that'll bump up the quality quite a bit. And it did. I mean, I watched some videos that I recorded as I was setting this stuff up, and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty good. Um, and I can always switch back to the other microphone. I just have more options now. And with the software I'm using, I could set up like 5 different cameras. I could have a far away camera and a close up camera. And there's a lot of stuff there's a lot of fun stuff. I can do a video loop while you're waiting for the stream with a countdown, and I can have like some motion graphics and stuff. I can really dig into this, but I can just do a little bit at a time is what it really boils down to. Um Big garages. I avoid the corporate garages. One time I needed tires. I went to Sears because they had the best price. Tells you how long ago it was. Um I asked them to do my inspection thinking that I could just get it done along with the tire changes. They turned around and wanted like $1,200 worth of stuff to pass my inspection that day. I'm like, just do the tires. I went to another garage and got the inspection done for nothing. That was the price of the inspection. That didn't need anything. That's state inspections are a time where a garage will try to rip you off. Got to be careful. So Glenn Beedshaw said, your best friend. I have a very good quality scan tool. I have 2 of them, one cheapo and one good one for my car. I'll show you because I'm sitting right. Are they easy to grab? Yes. This one, and where's the other one? Come on. Where you at? Here we go. This is the basic cheapo one that you can get at Walmart for like $30. I've had this for years. This thing will tell you the OBD check engine light code on every car I've ever plugged it into. No batteries, no software. You just plug and play. It will tell you the code, and it will give you the general description. Even on the Volkswagen, it works to get just the OBD code. If the check engine light comes on, this thing, $30, it'll tell you what it is. I can't tell you. I've used it in my Jeep Wrangler, my Mini Cooper, the Nissan Frontier. I used it in the the Jeep Liberty. That's when I bought it. This one is a little bit beefier. Same thing though, no batteries, no software to update. Well, it does have a USB port, and you can probably you can probably update the firmware on this. And I haven't done it since I got in here. This is a more robust scan tool for Volkswagen specifically. And so it has the OBD category, but you can also look at every other system of the car. The airbag system, you can look at I was able to get all the codes. This is called Ansel VD700. I got this on Facebook Marketplace, brand new, still in the packaging for $70, but it's over $100 or whatever it costs new. I got this half price on Facebook Marketplace. So I've already used this on this car to do different things. There's all kinds of things this thing will do, but this thing won't reprogram your car. You can do different things like, okay, I go get my oil change, and Jiffy Lube or whatever forgets to reset the timer, the odometer setting that tells you when to go get an oil change in however many thousand miles. I can use this tool to not only reset that, But to remind me at what interval I want to be reminded, I could probably say I want to be reminded at 3,000 miles instead of 10,000 miles or 5,000. I can set this to, I think I can use this tool to turn off the annoying seatbelt alarm. If you start driving down the road, it'll start going bing, 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 bing. It's not the most annoying car I've had in that respect, but I know this tool can turn that off. And there's other things. There's lots of things this tool can do, and I haven't tapped into it yet. Let me think. But yeah, there's other stuff that that a good scan tool will do. Now for this car, the cheapest way I can do the reprogramming of the car myself is to buy the software. It's called VCDS. There's a certain product. It's basically the same thing that Volkswagen uses, and the you need a special cable that has an ODB port on one end and a USB port on the other. And that cable has some sort of serial number tied to the software. You can only use it on 3 cars. At that point, they make you buy another cable, right to repair crap. That's how they control the software license, so you don't buy the software as an auto mechanic and use it on 100 cars. They have a serial number embedded in the cable itself. And they won't, and once you use that cable on 3 different vehicles, it'll lock you out. The software won't allow you to use it on another car. I'm not buying another Volkswagen, so I don't care. But it runs on Windows. It's not Mac. So I'd have to use my Windows Surface tablet, install this software, fire up the car the same way that you would fire it up for an ODB, the old dirty bastard scanner, OBD. I always confuse the two. So you plug in your old dirty bastard into the ODB port, but you would do it with your laptop or your Windows tablet, and fire up the software. And it's going to be a similar interface. You're just going to walk through. And I asked Grok, what do I do? It's pretty straightforward. You just go through the menus. You say, reprogram this. Boom. Yeah, baby, I got your money. They sure do. So, hey, Dirty, baby, I got your money. My favorite ODB is when he was a member of the Wu-Tang Clan, and MTV followed him down to the welfare check cashing office, and he was getting his welfare check still, even though he's like worth millions of dollars as a successful rapper, but they're still giving him a welfare check, and he's still going to get it. Good job, Oh Dirty. I'll give you a pass on that one, because that was funny. That was funny. So so where are we at? So yeah, the garage, Sears, inspection time. So I had another garage, a small garage. It was in an alleyway in the south side of Pittsburgh, right across the street from where I worked, actually. And I needed to get my vehicle inspected one day, and they didn't hose me. Another garage told me I needed new tie rods, new brakes, this, that, and the other thing. It was going to be, $1,000 to pass inspection. I went to this alleyway garage. I don't know if it was a lick it and stick it job, but he said everything was fine. He said I didn't need any of that. And I went to him for 2 years in a row to do my inspection, and he never hosed me. Brake pads, things, basics. I even went to him. I would call him when I needed a repair, because I knew he would be cheap. And if it was above his pay grade, if he wasn't equipped for it, he would let me know and just say, nah. And then I would go to the expensive guy, the one that quoted me $1,700 for the AC compressor. But at this point, I had 3 different garages to pick from: the dirt cheap guy in the alley, the $500 AC compressor, and the $1,700 AC compressor, and they all had their place. The top of the line guy, he he does a good, he was a really good, he was still a good price compared, but he's like a step down from going to the dealership, and he had a huge garage. Like, he had a big business. It wasn't a small operation. So you're paying for that. The guy in the alleyway, that's why it's so cheap, because he's in a freaking garage in an alleyway. So the third time I took my vehicle in for inspection to the alleyway guy, he turns around and he goes, "You're going to need like $1,500 to pass inspection." He told me I needed all 4 brake rotors and brake pads replaced on my 4-wheel disc brake vehicle. And I was like, bullshit, because those brakes were 3 months old on a vehicle that I drove once or twice a week. And I'm like, no way do I need all 4 brakes done. And so he tried telling me that, and plus I needed an O2 sensor to pass the emissions. I had a check engine light, bad sensor. I was just driving it because it wasn't a big deal. But to pass your emission check in Pittsburgh, you can't have a check engine light code. So it had like basically, if you get a check engine light and it's a sensor and you can live with it, you just live with it until it's inspection time and you plan on fixing it then. If it's something critical, never mind. But so that's how, we were all like that. And so, so I knew I was going to have to do the O2 sensor, but then he turned around and, what did he say? Well, Joseph, we don't really have a Bible study, but I do have some Bible stuff for tonight if we get there. But, feel free to leave in 20 minutes. You can come back and hang out on the afterplay. But anyway, this guy, all 4 brakes need to be replaced. All your brake pads, the O2 sensor, and some other stuff. He was like, $1,500. I'm like, nope. I went and got my vehicle and left. I took my vehicle to the $500 guy who replaced my AC compressor. He told me straight up, he's like, that guy was full of shit. I'm like, well, I know he was, because my brakes are 3 months old. I have like 2,000 miles on a set of brakes. You don't replace your brakes in 2,000 miles. The reason, so this was a scam that the garages were doing in Pennsylvania. All I needed was an O2 sensor to pass that inspection. The mechanic did it. He told me to pick up the vehicle, and then I had to bring it back to him after I drove it for a day because all the computer had to reset. If they just clear the code, it's not going, like the state, I don't know, they hook it up to some computer or some crap. He's like, in order for it to pass the state system, they have to have the code cleared by driving the car for a minute. And he's like, just go drive the car for a day or two, come back. I came back, they plugged it in. Good, you're good to go. He slapped the sticker on the car. Now, the thing that the scam, and the Attorney General of Pennsylvania got involved with this because a lot of garages started doing this, and it actually became a thing, and it was on the news as a scam. And it was like it was like one of those, like, all these garages started doing this. If you had rust on the surface of your brake rotor, they would say that you need new brake rotors, because they would tell you that Pennsylvania won't pass your inspection with rust on the brake rotor, surface rust. Have you ever gone driving when it's wet outside and then you park for a few days and you come out and you got rust on your brake rotors? Surface rust. Rust that's going to go away when you drive the car 2 or 3 times and you're actually using the brakes. This isn't rust like they're rusting all the way through. This is on the surface of the metal because it got wet. And if it got wet and you parked it in your driveway, you didn't drive it for a week or 2, it's going to show. It's going to have some rust. Little orange spots and circles and a little camouflage pattern or whatever. I've seen it a million times. You drive the car 2 or 3 times and you actually use the brakes, heat them up. It's gone. They're back to being shiny again. It's metal. It's metal. And you don't cover your brake rotors with oil to prevent that. Maybe if the brakes are bedded in a little bit better, they won't do that. Different, but I've seen this a million times. Every vehicle I've had with disc brakes at some point will show that. It's not like I'm getting carbon brakes. And so yeah, that garage, he told me, he's like, yeah, all the garages are doing that. Well, the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, they put out a web page, they put out a bulletin, like they got public about it, and they said that is not Pennsylvania law. If a shop tells you that, they're full of crap. It's based on the thickness of the rotor and the thickness of the pads, not if there's surface rust on the brake rotor. That is no bearing on whether they pass inspection or not, because all over the state, garages were trying to rip people off. But I wasn't going to fall for it because, like I said, my brakes were 3 months old. They may have been even less than that. It may have been like 2 months old, but the brakes were pretty much brand new on that vehicle, all four. And I'm like, I'm not replacing my brakes after 3 months. You're out of your mind. And I never went back to that garage again because he tried to scam me. Maybe he was having hard times. Maybe he, thought he could sucker me into paying a little bit more or whatever. You can get coated rotors that won't rust. Sure. This wasn't like I said, I drove the vehicle. Sometimes I'd let the vehicle sit for more than a week because I took public transit. I had other means to get around. I'm sure I've seen rust on my Volkswagen rotors. If I drive in the rain and I don't drive for 4 or 5 days, I don't know. I'm not paying that much attention, but I mean, this isn't like it's not an uncommon thing. And surface rust is no big deal. On a bicycle, I've seen rust on bikes. I take a piece of steel wool, rub it off. It's like the part looks brand new again. It's when the rust sets in and starts to actually dig into the metal beyond the surface that you got to worry about it. If it's on the cast iron pan, I've had rust on cast iron pans. You take it off with steel wool, you reseason the pan, you're good to go. I mean, it's not, if you let the pan sit for 3 or 4 years in a rusty, moist environment, you might actually pit and wear, you might actually eat away the metal, and then now you might have a problem. But surface rust is not a big deal. So anyway, never went back to that garage again. So I don't even know, man. I could probably think of more garages that have tried to rip me off. And even that guy, the guy who wanted to quote me 1,600 to replace 1,700 to replace my AC compressor on the Liberty. You know what he was probably thinking? These things are garbage, and if I replace this, I'm going to have to replace it 2 more times because I'm going to give him a 3-year warranty or something like that, and I'm going to have to replace it again. So he's already pricing in the replacement. I know that's what he was doing. He's probably going to get the top of the line part because he doesn't want to have to do the job twice for the same bill. And he's going to charge twice as much as he should because he already knows before that warranty's out, he's going to have to do it again. I mean, that was my thought. The other garage was like not as good of a warranty, but it was like 2 years. And it was like 3 years later that it went bad again. And the only reason I would even replace the compressor is because when the clutch starts to burn out after the compressor stops working, it'll start to blow smoke from under your hood and it'll look like your engine bay is on fire. They actually, for the Jeep Liberties, because it's such a piece of crap, they actually make a standalone pulley that you can mount in place of the AC compressor to run the serpentine belt around, because it's a well-known fact that an AC compressor in a Liberty is going to last about 2 years. The Liberty you don't see very many of those on the road, do you? But how many times do you see a boxy old XJ Jeep Cherokee from the mid-1990s on the road? I see them all the time. I don't see Jeep Liberties anywhere anymore. They're gone because they're junk. But then again, the JK Wrangler, the 2-door Wrangler I had, and the XJ boxy style Jeep Cherokee from the mid-90s, those are the 2 most reliable vehicles I ever owned. So I can't just blame the brand. The Liberty was a piece of crap. A bunch of bean counters got together and said, "How can we build a vehicle out of plastic and save 20 cents?" Um, this is not a top of the line scanner, by the way, Glenn. I'm just answering your comment there. It's like it cost me $70. I think it's like 100 and something dollar scanner. It's not top of the line. I mean, there are scanners for they're I mean, you can pay $10,000 for a scanner for a tool like that. Um the scanner, this is a good middle of the road tool. I don't know what good it is for on another brand car. Yeah, the mechanics that the one that my mechanic's using, I believe he said it was an Autel. They're trying it out instead of the Snap-on. Um, they said it was $11,000, the one that they're using now. And he said it's really nice. Like he was showing it to me. He was like, "Look at this and look at that." They plug it into a car, and then they pulled up the report on their computer screen and sent me a link to my email and said, "Check it out." I could pull up the freaking report on my own phone after they plugged it into my car, like right after. Um, it was kind of fun. I mean, I was like, I would auto mechanics is like a cool field to get into because it's like any business. You can make good money doing that, but it's kind of like if you're a chef at a restaurant, you're not going to make squat. But if you own a restaurant, you can make really good money. That's kind of how I put it. If you're a mechanic, you can make some pretty decent money depending on where you work. But if you own a garage, that's where the real money starts to come in. And you might need to get that experience working for other people before you go out on your own. Even in my line of work, the experience that I got that allowed me to do freelance and basically do it on my own all came from working for lots of different companies for 20 years or 25 years. At some point in time, I was working on my own for about 6 of those years. And then when I went back to work, it was like going back to school because I went to be a software developer for 6 years, doing nothing but writing code and doing no design. And so when I turned back around and decided to be a designer again because an opportunity came my way, the fact that I spent 6 years as a high-end programmer made me a shoe-in because I could design things that I know how to build. So a programming team can't bullshit me and say, "We can't build this." I'll be like, "I'll build it." I've done that. I've done that at companies before where I'm the more of like the small startup environments where I'll design something and people will be like, "We can't do that." And I'll be like, "Hold my beer." And I'll sit there and do it. I'll make the front end. I'll write the code for it to look the way it's supposed to look. I'll integrate it with their existing code and because I understand it enough to do my part of the job. But now I can do this. I can do a lot of this stuff on my own, and I can, Uh, so I guess we're talking about jobs. So here's something interesting before I dig into like Jesus stuff. Totally. Um, well, this kind of does go along with. I'm trying to see which one it is. All right. Today is December 4th. Let me swing over here to that and we'll go here and I'll click we'll do the corner share. I have time for everybody's favorite book, Jesus Calling. And how does this relate? I've been reading this all week, and every day this week I have some notes on how this relates to me. But I'll just read today's entry, which I gotta find it. Should be this one here. Yes, December 4th. That's today. Every day this week, this Jesus Calling book has been in alignment with what I'm going through throughout the week. But I'll start with today's because it's going to go along with what I'm about to talk about. And it goes, "My thoughts are not your thoughts. Neither are your ways my ways. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways and thoughts higher than yours. Remember who I am when you spend time with me. Marvel at the wonder of being able to commune with the King of the universe anytime, any place. Never take this amazing privilege for granted. Though I am vastly higher and greater than you, I am training you to think my thoughts. As you spend time in my presence, my thoughts gradually form in your mind. My spirit is the director of this process. Sometimes he brings Bible verses to mind. Sometimes he enables you to hear me speak directly to you. These communications strengthen you and prepare you for whatever is before you on your life path. Take time to listen to my voice. Through your sacrifice of precious time, I bless you far more than you dare to ask. And so I always highlight the part that speaks to me the most on these. And though I am vastly higher and greater than you, I am training you to think my thoughts. As you spend time in my presence, my thoughts gradually form in your mind. My spirit is the director of this process. Sometimes he brings Bible verses to mind. Sometimes he enables you to hear me speak directly to you. These communications strengthen you and prepare you for whatever is before you on your life path. So I talk about how God speaks to me all the time. And he does it in a certain way with me that I know where it's coming from. A lot of people leave comments on my videos when I talk about this about, oh, you believe in the invisible sky fairy and things like that. But this is how God speaks to me most of the time. There are lots of random occurrences that cannot be explained any other way. There's no way you could call it a coincidence. And there's a big difference between what we call synchronicity and what we would call a coincidence. If I go out in public wearing a Star Wars t-shirt, imagine that. If I go out in public in a Star Wars t-shirt and I run into another person wearing a Star Wars t-shirt and we're like, hey, nice shirt. That's a coincidence. I mean, it is. You can say that it's very probable if you're out in a public place wearing a Star Wars shirt, there's a good chance you might run into someone else wearing one. Star Wars is kind of popular. But here's another scenario. This is totally random. This is not something that really happened. This is hypothetical. But let's say I chose to wear a Star Wars t-shirt to go out on a date with a girl I met on Tinder for the first time, right? Because, for whatever reason, I just don't care today. I don't care about what she thinks, and I'm not even trying. Because I would never do that. I would never go out on a date wearing a Star Wars t-shirt. At least not a first date. But let's just say I threw caution to the wind and I'm lazy and I don't care and I'm having a bad day and I'm like, you know what? Pass the smell test, put it on, go out on this date. We're good. Maybe I pulled it right out of the dirty clothes hamper, but it wasn't that bad. Whatever. I put on a Star Wars t-shirt, go out on a date. Now, what if I show up on this date and this girl happens to be wearing a Star Wars t-shirt on a date, meeting a guy for the first time after you've been talking on Tinder for a couple of days or whatever? Neither one of us knew we were Star Wars fans. We didn't talk about Star Wars at all. We weren't planning on wearing a Star Wars shirt. It just happened, whatever. I would look that as something that's more like synchronicity and not a coincidence. There'd be that would be like, yo, what am I supposed to get out of this? What's that mean? That would be the time where I'm like, that is not just some random coincidence that you both decided to wear a Star Wars shirt on a first date without even knowing you liked Star Wars. Especially when neither one of you were the type of people that would wear a t-shirt on a date in the first place. You know what I mean? I'm going to try to look a little bit better than that. It's like going on a job interview in a lot of ways. I wear a suit to a job interview before I wear a Star Wars t-shirt. If I can get if it's a casual job interview, my shirt's going to have buttons and a collar. It's probably going to be short sleeve. I'll probably wear jeans, but I'll wear a nice pair of shoes. But I'm still going to look like I tried. So, but here's a situation. It's nothing right now. Okay, but hypothetically, this could be a synchronicity kind of a thing if something comes of it. And I'll just tell you what it is from my current car situation. Like I said, I don't know if this will go anywhere, but I looked deeper. Let me just talk about it. The second garage that I took the car to, they're using software to run their entire business. So like I told you, they did a full inspection on my car and then sent me a link, and I could print a PDF out from the link, and I could download about 100 photos of my car of everything. Like there's a torn CV boot. I've got a photo of it now. Like they found some stuff. And so they took pictures of some things. And they're documenting everything, and they did a very thorough job. But the software, I'm like, what is this? I've never seen this before. And the whole thing's integrated. They can do their quotes. You can authorize the repairs. You're going to get your receipt. That all goes back and forth through this system. And then I looked into it, and I'm like, it's an all-inclusive system. So the company's website is on the same platform. It's an all-in-one stop shop software system for small to mid-sized garages. And then I looked, and another quote that I got from another garage, the other quote that I was talking about, came from the same software. And so I'm like, yo, that's kind of interesting. And it was very like well built. Like I was just watching them use it at the shop the other day, and I was like, that's really impressive. I've never seen this level before. I mean, from a UX standpoint, from my job, that's what it was. So I was curious, and I looked into the system, and I found that company's website. And I looked at all the information about the company and how their system works. Their pricing's like, I don't know, $500 a month for a mid-sized garage like that. I mean, it was a reason. I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I dug deeper. And then I looked at, a guy was offering a free Honda, but I'd have to pay for it to be shipped from California. So it was still going to cost about $1,000. And, sight unseen. I mean, I trusted the guy. I didn't have any reason to believe that it wasn't what he said he was, it wouldn't be what he said it was. But I had money fall out of the sky that I could just go get a car on my own. And I was like, if he's going to donate that car to a charity, maybe somebody else could use that Honda, And so I went and bought a car so that I could look at it myself and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I looked at this company's website, the Garage Software, and I went to their jobs section, and I saw a listing for a senior visual designer. And it's a remote job, work from home. So I applied to it. And then I found out they're located in Houston. They're like a half-hour drive from me. I dug deeper now that I know they're in Houston. 200 employees, under 200 employees, and I looked at their website. I saw their pictures. I could deduce they have an office, 200 employees or less. So they're in startup size. It's the perfect size company for me to apply to. It's kind of like that sweet spot where I could possibly get a good paying job with a company that size. And they might look the other way on a background check because maybe they're Republicans. Maybe it's Republicans at the top who are like, oh, you got hosed. Maybe, the human beings. I'm not going to be talking to a faceless human resources person who doesn't care about me. This is the goal. This is the key size company for me to apply to. under 200 employees. Maybe they'll do a background check. If they did a drug test, fine, I'll go pee in a cup. It won't come up positive. Somebody did point out as a side note that my photography website is litgood.com, and that's the company name now. I haven't registered that, but it's Lit Good. Perfect for a photographer. And somebody pointed out, that makes it sound like you smoke weed. And I'm thinking, oh, what's wrong with that? I don't have a problem with that. If I was not on federal probation, I would have smoked a joint before coming on the air tonight. And I probably would have been a little more relaxed than I am right now. So I don't really have a problem with that either. The double entendre, I thought of that immediately when I bought the domain name. But it really came down to I was looking for something for a photography website, and you're not going to find a .com that's better than Lit Good. 2 syllables, 7 letters, plus the .com. Good luck. Tell me if you could find something better than that. I probably messed around for 3 weeks before I stumbled on that. And I was like, yo, winner. I bought it right away. I didn't even wait. I just paid the $10. Boom, got it. I'm like, there's no way I'm letting that slip through my fingers. And so Lit Good it is. And that's why I'm trying to steer all my social media names and everything toward that, just so that it's all unified. The Redeeming Light, I liked it. I wanted to get redeeminglight.com. That was what I wanted and that was what I wanted in the first place. But Redeeming Light, that's 4 syllables plus, you got to think about how many people this day and age can't spell. If you can't spell Lit Good, then you're not going to be buying anything from me anyway. So why buy? It doesn't matter. But Redeeming Light, that's a lot to roll off the tongue. You want a domain name for your business that rolls off the tongue. You don't want something else.com or something 123 where you got to say the number. Like anytime you get complicated or you say if you say .net, it just makes you sound like the loser who didn't get the .com, so you had to settle for .net. I mean, domain names, I would say the domain name's more important than the business name this day and age. If you're starting on a business name from scratch and you're just trying to brainstorm and come up with something, look for a good domain name first and make your business name based on that. That's what I did with the other hardrockbrand.com for my freelance design work. I'm going to register that business name when I get around to it. Sooner than later, probably. Add it to my never-ending list of to-dos. But I own the domain name for that. Nobody's going to take it from me. And I also have Brand Parenthood, but that was more as a joke because I don't know what I'm going to do with that. But so this job, automotive garage software, I applied. It's a senior level job. They're a small enough company. It's not like I'm applying to go work at Exxon or some other major corporation, like a big major multinational bank or something else where they're just not going to let me in the door because I'm not going to get past HR. Target won't even let me go work as a stock boy because it's corporate. But I can go work at a bakery for over a year and we all get along great. So anyway, I checked out the company on the reason why I don't think I'll even get anything other than a form letter response saying, we looked at your credentials, and while we had a number of suitable candidates, we had to make the regretful decision to not move forward with your blah, blah, blah. That's what I'm expecting. I looked at LinkedIn for this company today because that was today. That was yesterday I saw this job lead. Most of the jobs that are on their website are also on LinkedIn, listed under the jobs for that company. But this designer job is not on LinkedIn, but it's on their website, which my assumption would be that they filled the position and they forgot to take it down from their website, but they removed it from LinkedIn because if it's on LinkedIn, they're going to be getting about 1,000 resumes a week for a remote. If it's a remote job, they're going to get 1,000 resumes. They're going to get 4,000 to 8,000 resumes for that job lead on LinkedIn right now. So, but they might not, people aren't going to necessarily stumble upon that on their website itself. So when it was missing from LinkedIn, but still on their website, it makes me wonder, did they fill the job, take it off of LinkedIn, and then forget about removing it from their website? Because that's a separate thing you got to log into to get rid of it. Who knows? Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe they listed it on their website and hadn't gotten around to putting it on LinkedIn yet. I don't know. But I'm bringing it up because, okay, what if the synchronicity of it all? What if the reason I end up getting a high-paying software design job is because my car broke down and I got scammed by an auto garage and had to go to another auto garage and see them using this software, which triggered my interest and made me look at the company that makes the software and discover that there's a job opening that I'm perfectly qualified for, like a dead set match. Checked off all the boxes, everything they're looking for, I do. If I got the interview, I'd nail it. But wouldn't that would be synchronicity? That would be God doing what he does. And so that was on my mind today. I'm like, wouldn't that be ironic that God made this money fall out of the sky that allowed me to go buy this car? And then a month after I get the car, I have this problem, and the timing and the alignment just lines up so that my car breaks down, forces me to go to this shop, see this software, look into it, find out that there's this job opening. I apply to the job opening and get the job. That would be synchronicity, like the coincidence. That would not just be some random coincidence at that point. That would be like God saying, hey, I got a job for you. I want you to go here. Do it. You know what I mean? Because I would have never found this job otherwise. I would not have stumbled upon that job lead on my own. Not without taking my car to the garage to get fixed. Absolutely not. So that's what I'm talking about with synchronicity. That's how God always talks to me. If we go back in time this week, if we want to talk about Jesus calling again, I've been reading them all week, reading all these throughout the week. Do I want to go backwards, or do I just want to go back to December 1st? That's November 30th. Do I want to go back to November 30th? Yeah, why not? Okay. So, Jesus, this is a good one. November 30th, that was Sunday, I believe. Yeah, that was Sunday this last week. I talked about this on the members only stream, but since we're all here, we got 15 people in the house right now. Glenn Beatshaw, those old Cherokees are the best. I've told the story about how my boxy old Cherokee was stolen in a high-speed police chase, crashed into a wall, and caught on fire. And I was still able to start it up with a screwdriver and drive it out of the impound parking lot. So, I mean, those old Jeeps are almost like the Toyota Hilux on Top Gear, where you really can't destroy them and you can't make them not start. There was never a single time with that vehicle that it wouldn't start, other than, I had a battery go dead. And I ended up towing it to the garage, mainly because of where I was parked in downtown Pittsburgh. There wasn't I had to get it out of downtown. Towed it to a garage. They're like, you need a battery. Boom, done. Had it back the same day. But if we go back to Jesus calling on Sunday, it says problems are a part of life. Go figure, right? They're inescapable, woven into the very fabric of this fallen world. You tend to go into problem-solving mode all too readily, acting as if you have the capacity to fix everything. This is a habitual response, so automatic that it bypasses your conscious thinking. Not only does this habit frustrate you, it distances you from me. Do not let fixing things be your top priority. You are ever so limited in your capacity to correct all that is wrong with the world around you. Don't weigh yourself down with responsibilities that are not your own. Instead, make your relationship with me your primary concern. Talk with me about whatever is on your mind, seeking my perspective that comes to your attention, and ask me to show you what is truly important. Remember that you are en route to heaven, and let your problems fade in the light of eternity. They're not that big a deal when you really, I get worked up. I've been worked up about this car all week. It's having an effect on me. But out of this block, you tend to go into problem solving mode all too readily, acting as if you have the capacity to fix everything. Yes, absolutely. I jump right in. It's a habitual response, so automatic that it bypasses your conscious thinking. Not only does this habit frustrate you, but it distances you from me. I'm constantly obsessive, for sure. I want to fix everything as soon as it breaks. And I'll just drop what I'm doing and have to do it. Do not let fixing things be your top priority. You are ever so limited in your capacity to correct all that is wrong with the world around you. It just says, it's a fallen world. It's not a perfect world. It's never going to be. Don't weigh yourself down with responsibilities that are not your own. Instead, make your relationship with me your primary concern. So this was what I read the day that my space heaters came from Amazon. Okay. I'm reading this almost at the same time. I open up the box with a 300-watt power supply. If I stop sharing my screen for a second, I can pull these up on Amazon because I can just pop the order up. So just give me a second. Actually, hold on. APC. I'll just pull up an image of this because I know I can find one that's, that's the one. Open image in new tab. And then in this tab, orders. I'm just going to I'm hiding my screen just in case, you don't want your personal stuff popping up until I get to the product description pages for these things. And then I'll just pop through everything I did. Perfect. All right. Now I can share my screen again. I'll do that one so you can still see me. All right. So I bought this little space heater and it came on Sunday. I had to go to work on Monday and I knew it was going to be about 40 degrees when I left the bakery and my car wouldn't start. So I already was trying to I'm already in problem solving mode, scrambling, trying to make sure that I can get home without being stranded. So this was $25. It's a 200-watt space heater. It's not super powerful, which is why it runs off of a battery. So I bought this. It's a basic. It was $99 on Black Friday special. So it's $119 today. It's a 300-watt power station. You can plug a solar panel into this. And 300 watt from the main 110 outlet. And the 12 volt does not output that much. And then you can recharge it with the wall. It takes about 3 hours to fully charge. And it's pretty small. Let's see if there's a photo here that show the size of it. I mean, it's about, you kind of get an idea for how big this thing is. About that. I mean, this is photoshopped, but that's about how big it is. It's small, but it does the job, except for, once again, problem solving mode, just like Jesus Calling talked about. When I plugged in the heater into this, it would run for 3 seconds and shut off. And I'm like, crap, I just wasted all this money. And I was upset because now I have to go to work on Monday not knowing if my car will start. And I tried a bunch of different things and I got mad. I yelled at Grok like he was a human being, and I was mad. And then I finally just take a deep breath and I decide, all right, I'm going to bed. It was late. And so I'm laying in bed and I'm just about to fall asleep. All of a sudden, I realize I have this. This is the APC UPS power supply that I have. You plug this into your wall, and during a power outage, there's a battery inside here. It'll keep your laptop and other peripherals running for a period of time, giving you enough time to shut things down properly. A full desktop computer, you're going to get about 10, 15 minutes out of it. But a MacBook, probably going to get hours. So I wasn't even really using this yet. It was just sitting out in the open. It wasn't like I had to, pull things away from the wall or whatever. And I just walked by and I'm like, what? Wait a minute. Okay. So I plugged the heater. I plugged this heater directly into this. Turn on the heater. This thing's powering the heater without any problem. It has a blinking light for about 5 seconds to say that you're pulling too many watts. But once the heater settles into its rhythm, that initial power surge drops down to about 200 watts and it's good to go. It kept running. And so I'm like, hold on. So now I plug this APC, the UPS back up into the power port on this. And then the screen on this thing said, I have an hour before that battery dies. And so the heater is drawing the power directly from this as long as the UPS is plugged into this. And then when the battery dies on this, the UPC takes over and the battery on that takes over and continues powering the heater. And so, like I said, I could run this heater it was about an hour and 10 minutes that it was running when I went out to start my car and the heater was still going. And there was a noticeable warmth in the car. It was warm enough because I aimed it right at the area where it needed to be. So warming up the plastic and the stuff inside, under the wheel well, the passenger footwell or the driver's side footwell, radiant enough heat to get the modules warmed up and start the car. And so 682 BTUs, mini space heater. You can put it under your desk. These are multi-purpose things that I bought. It wasn't like I wasted my money because, when the car is fixed, I still have some prepper gear for in case of power outage. This extra power supply, I'll go back to the screen share here. This thing. So I can plug my laptop into this and have a backup for my hard drives and my laptop to stay powered if the power goes out. Well, my internet is from a wireless internet connection, T-Mobile. It plugs into a wall, but it's a wireless router and it needs power. But it's not up. Even during a power outage, I would still have an internet signal. So with this combined with this, if my internet router is plugged into this thing and my computer is plugged into this thing, or maybe vice versa, I don't know what's best. And then you've got the battery inside the MacBook, which those can last up to 6 to 8 hours, depending on. I could basically sit online all day long on the internet with my laptop, my phone, full internet connection, high speed. In a power outage, I'd still have connection to the outside world and I could still, do a little bit of something. In a bad situation, I could get under a blanket if it's really cold, drop this heater, plug it into a battery. I mean, there's lots of ways that this can be used. And so, I don't want to spend. I'm sick of spending money on this car and being forced to spend money here, there, and everywhere else. But at least some of these things are multi-purpose and they can be used, in multiple different ways. But going back to the Jesus calling, problems are part of your life. You go into problem solving mode. It's exactly what I did on the day. I'm reading this at the same time I'm doing this. So I thought that was I mean, synchronicity, like I've been talking about. It was like I was being talked to here. I figured out the problem, but it was a little bit of luck too. Because if I didn't have that UPS backup that I bought, I rode my bicycle to go pick up that thing. And the battery was bad. I had to replace the battery. I had to spend another $50 on a battery. The thing cost me like $80. And I bought that over the summer because we were having nonstop lightning storms. And then the bad weather went away, and I just it's been sitting here because in order for me to rewire everything at my desk here, it's a little bit of a process, and I've been putting that off. And now that I got this new, microphone and some of the other gear, it's a bird's nest of wires. I got to redo it all. So now I'm kind of waiting for this car to iron itself out so that I can get that power supply back and plug it in where it's supposed to be and put the stuff in it that's supposed to be plugged into it. But it was just luck of the draw that I was able to solve that problem. And it wasn't really all me. It just coincidence. I mean, I don't know, borderline coincidence, borderline synchronicity. God had it. He had my back. There's no way my car would have started on Monday without that heater. And it might have been problematic. I might have been stuck there for a while trying to figure out how to start my car. Jesus Calling, December 1st. Let's go there on Monday. Let's jump in. We're still not at 2 hours yet, so we got time. I love you with an everlasting love which flows out from the depth of eternity. Before you were born, I knew you. Ponder the awesome mystery of a love that encompasses you from before birth to beyond the grave. Modern man has lost the perspective of eternity. To distract himself from the gaping jaws of death, he engages in ceaseless activity and amusement. The practice of being still in my presence is almost a lost art, yet it is this very stillness that enables you to experience my eternal love. You need the certainty of my loving presence in order to weather the storms of life. During times of severe testing, even the best theology can fail you if it's not accompanied by experiential knowledge of me. The ultimate protection against sinking during life's storms is devoting time to develop your friendship with me. And so, this is it. This is the part that stands out to me. While I was reading that to you, part of this, the practice of being still in my presence is a lost art, yet it's that stillness that enables you to experience my eternal love. One of the biggest ways that I'm missing this, I need to do this. I need to go camping. I need to go out in nature. I need to go on hikes. And I need to get away from everything and go someplace quiet and sit in front of a campsite, sit in front of a fire, and go someplace where you can't hear anything. Music would be, but I don't kick the music on. When I go camping, even if I go by myself, I don't turn on the music until the sun goes down. It's just a habit. I love sitting in the silence of the woods, just quiet. And when the sun goes down and it starts getting dark and I start getting a fire going and whatnot, if I'm by myself, the music keeps me company. It makes me forget that I'm all alone and just it makes it better. But I do in the silence of being out there in nature, and just it's exactly what I need sometimes, and I need it now. The only reason I haven't gone camping yet is because I wanted to drive the car for a couple of months without problems and then go camping. Turns out that wasn't going to happen. So, but anyway, the guy who I'm helping write the book right now, his whole thing is he calls himself an experiential philosopher. He invented the term, or at least it's not a term that's used very often, but it's exactly what we're talking about right here. You have to experience it during times of severe testing, the word of God isn't going to have much meaning to you if you've never experienced what God does, right? Like when I used to not believe in God, and I was on the way home from a rough ride. It's a long story. I've told it before, but the gist of the story is I asked God to show me that he's real. If you're real, I'm open to believe it. But I was honest about it. I said, I won't believe in it if I don't have some sort of proof. Just like I don't believe the sky is blue unless I go out and look and see it. You know what I mean? If somebody, I don't believe anything. There's a lot of times I don't believe people until I see it for myself. And I think a lot of us, and I don't even think God thinks that. I don't even think he's upset about that when blind faith. I think with those leaps of faith that you see in the Bible, the woman that reached out to touch Jesus's robe, she didn't know. She believed, like she'd heard, but I don't think she absolutely 100% knew. But she was willing to give it a shot. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it. And that's where I got. And I'm not kidding you when I tell you the very next day after I did that, about 10 different things happened the next day that were supernatural and out of this world. And the thing that I asked for verbatim was, God, if you are real and you have something that you want me to do or a direction that you want me to go, please make it so loud and clear, so crystal clear, and so abundantly clear that I would be a complete idiot not to understand that that was you. Like, it can't be subtle. Please just make it so obvious that this is you, that I would be a complete idiot if I still didn't believe in you after that. That's great. That's exactly what I asked for. And the reason I asked that way is because a couple of my friends, when I asked them what made you believe, they had the same story. That's what they did. One of my best friends at the time said that's exactly how he figured out God was real. And I said, well, if it worked for you, I'll give it a shot, because I don't believe in him. I mean, I was up front. I'm like, I don't believe in this crap. Religion's just a crutch for idiots that can't explain the workings of the world and for people in power to stay in power. And I had all these things, all kinds of. I mean, I would argue with religious people all day long about how they're idiots. And you know me, I don't hold back. I don't really have a filter. So imagine Saul became Paul. He was out there killing the Jews. He was out there killing the people that believed in Jesus because he was so against it and he thought it was a bunch of crap. And then Jesus came along and told him what's up. That's in the Bible. So I didn't even know the Bible that well. I didn't even know that there were English versions of the Bible that you could read in plain English. Like, I thought it was all King James, this and thou and hitherto and hither there. And, I'm like, I can't read this crap. Nobody talks like this anymore. And somebody explained to me, well, there's other translations you can try. The King James is still, that you understand the King James if you've read the New International Version. But get a good online study Bible queued up and you can look at them all. That way you can see that there are differences between the translations and some of them are significant. But either way, I was a newbie. I was a noob. And all I did was ask God to prove that he was real. And boom. The next day I had a new job. I normally had 6 different friends in Pittsburgh that I could stay with when I was in town. All of them were out of town. I get a random phone call from a friend I haven't heard from in almost a year, at least 6 months. He calls me up. He's like, hey, what's going on, man? I haven't talked to you for a while. And I said, looks like I'm moving back to Pittsburgh. And the first thing out of his mouth was like, hey, man, you need a place to stay? And I had just gotten done panicking because all of my friends that I normally stay with when I'm in Pittsburgh are not available. They're all going to be out of town or some reason I can't stay at their house. And all of a sudden, a random friend I haven't heard from in like a year calls me and says, "Hey, need a place to stay?" He's like, "I knew I needed to call you for some reason. Now we know." Um, I went out to the mailbox. I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. Like, I had to move in like a week out of nowhere. I had to quit a job and start a new job the following Monday in Pittsburgh. I didn't even know how I money wise, I was broke. I didn't know how I was even going to afford the gas. I go out to the mailbox. My parents aren't home yet because I was living with them for about a year after art school. I go to the mailbox. There's a thing from the insurance company for my car. It's a letter with a check attached with perforated with a perforation saying, "We're sorry to inform you, you paid too much for your car insurance this year and you're getting a refund." And it was like a lot of money. I mean, it was like at least 700-800 bucks. Monday. This is Monday. This is the day after I asked God if he was real. And there were so many other things about that weekend. I'm just telling you 3 of 10 things. Boom, 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 boom. And at the end of the day, how could you not believe? How could you see all of that happen that fast and then not believe in it? I'm like, okay, I think there's something to this. Because God wanted me to go to Pittsburgh and raise my daughter because I was a weekend dad. I would come down, I'd visit her for like one day, have to turn around and go back to New York and work again for the week. And so I could see her like 3 times a month on the weekend, maybe 4 times, and for like a Saturday or a Sunday, and then turn around and go home. And she was young. She was like a year, 2 years old. Um, between 1 and 2, you know, around that age. So she was just kind of, you know, she don't remember these days like I do. But this all, and then boom, I mean, just magic all the time. It was just magic all the time after that. During times of severe testing, even the best theology can fail if it isn't accompanied by experiential knowledge of me. It's that experiential knowledge that I have where I've seen him do things so many times that even when I'm being tested like this week, and I'm getting like burned out this week from the worry and fear of this car. But I also have this knowledge that God gets me through the hardest times. And I've had so many experiences to prove that. I don't need to prove it to you guys. I mean, you can believe me or not. I don't care. I know. I don't need to be like, you don't got like nothing anybody says or does is going to change my mind, is what I'm saying. And I lean on that during these hard times. And then that kind of gets me out of this mindset so I can just kind of sit back and watch how it all unfolds. Like there's a part of me right now that believes that something here in Houston is so profound. Like there's something that I'm here for that I don't know yet. And I don't know what it is. I just have this feeling sometimes like I was brought here. All the crazy shit I went through, from being arrested for mean tweets, going to prison, coming back, being thrown out into the street to be homeless, and winding up in Houston, 2,000 miles away from my kids. I mean, I might not have ever visited the city of Houston. It wasn't on my bucket list, let alone live here. But I feel like maybe God has, there's something I'm supposed to do or see or get or something here where once it happens and once I know what that is, I'll look back and be like, it's like that story I told you about, what if I get a job because my car broke down? I'm not, like I said, I'm not counting on that. I'm not acting as if it's in the bag. I mean, most of the time when I apply to a job like that, I get a thanks, but no thanks kind of a email from an automated bot. So I'm not, the form letter rejection. So I'm not even worried about it. But what if there's something here in Houston that I'm supposed to do, get, see, experience? There's a reason that I'm here that's going to be revealed, and it's all going to make sense. And if none of this stuff had happened leading up to it, it would have never, maybe there's some really great thing that I'm supposed to get here and do, or whatever it is. And everything led to me being here for that. I don't know. Like that's something that goes. I think about that from time to time. I mean, I just won a camera. We're in this pile of stuff here. I won this freaking camera out of 270,000 people that 270,000 people entered this contest and I was one of 10 winners. Like, and I needed a camera like that. In fact, if I would get my act together, I could record my bike ride to the bakery on Saturday and try it out. Even if I just mounted it on a chest strap or something and just figure out the basics and get a video file out of it. And just start, baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. It doesn't have to be perfect on the first try. Maybe a significant other. I don't know about, I mean, my attitude about women is not healthy. So, but who knows? Who knows? I've got good reasons for the way I feel. I got slides in my deck. That's one of the topics of the week, but we're running out of time. It's going to be for another day, I'm sure. It wasn't like one thing had to go wrong in order for me to find my way to Houston. It really was a very large number of things that had to take place in a certain order, in a certain way for me to arrive here. My best friend moved here in 2022, just 2 months before I was arrested. That was the first thing that had to happen for me to come here. The whole being homeless in Jamestown thing came about through circumstances that were so numerous, aside from the thing that landed me in federal prison. I mean, if I were in jail for less time, let's say less than a year instead of the 20 months, I would have come home to a totally different circumstance. The time I was away had something to do with the things that happened when I came back. If I could have had a place to stay in Pittsburgh after everything was done, I would have never left Pittsburgh. There's just so many factors, so many things had to line up just right for me to be where I am right now. And it's not where I wanted to be, by the way. I didn't choose this. It was 3 terrible options, and I picked the worst or I picked the best one of the 3. It's like voting. It's like voting when Ross Perot was in the election. You had George Bush, Bill Clinton, and Ross Perot. And, I would have voted for Ross Perot. My whole family did. But we saw what happened. We got a bad choice. It was all bad. I don't even think, look at Trump. He isn't doing anything either. So voting is exactly what it was like. I had 3 bad options. I picked the one that was the most likely to help me get on my feet. So I just wonder, I don't know why I'm here. Like I keep saying, I don't know, but maybe there's a good reason for that. And maybe when that happens, I'll know, oh my God, this is why I had to be here. This is why. And I don't know what it could be. I have loose ideas, John S., one of our awesome channel members, maybe a significant other, maybe it's a job, maybe it's something else. I don't know. I'm just going to roll with it and see what happens and pay attention and make a move if the opportunity knocks on the door and it feels like that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's about the best any of us can do. So moving on to Jesus Calling on December 2nd, which was 2 days ago, Tuesday. I am the Prince of Peace. As I said to my disciples, I say also to you, peace be with you, since I'm your constant companion. My peace is steadfastly with you. When you keep your focus on me, you experience both my presence and my peace. Worship me as King of Kings, Lord of Lords, and Prince of Peace. You need my peace each moment to accomplish my purposes in your life. Sometimes you're tempted to take shortcuts in order to reach your goal as quickly as possible. But if the shortcut requires turning your back on my peaceful presence, you must choose the longer route. Walk with me on paths of peace and enjoy the journey in my presence. And so this part right here is what stood out to me on Tuesday. You need my peace each moment to accomplish my purposes in your life. And sometimes you're tempted to take a shortcut to get there as quick as you can. But if the shortcut requires you to turn your back on me, God, choose the longer route. It's going to work out better for you. Um, and it just, it's another example of me trying to solve all my problems myself and obsessing over them as soon as they pop up, even though a solution might be right around the corner that'll present itself no matter what I do. If I stress and wig out about it the whole time, I mean, I got to take my own advice right here because I wrote this on Tuesday in my notes, and I'm having a really bad day today and yesterday with this car stuff, to the point you can't do mentally challenging work like programming, design, creative stuff like that if your mind is fried. It's like trying to play soccer with a broken leg. You can't do it. And I've been trying, and every time I sit down to concentrate on it, I can't because my mind is shot out for 2 days. It's been bad. So if you sit here and so I'm talking about, I don't always take my own advice here. I'll obsess about an issue, but obsessing over an issue as soon as it pops up, when a solution is right around the corner, and that solution might just present itself. No matter what you do, you might run around in circles trying to solve a problem only to see that the solution just pops up out of nowhere, and you could have sat on your couch and waited for it without freaking out, and the solution still would have appeared. That knock on the door was coming no matter whether you paced around your house worrying about it all day or you sat on the couch and watched a movie and relaxed. Either way, that knock was coming and the solution was coming. Now, I do think that, the Bible does say, he who won't work won't eat. So God doesn't want you to just sit around and wait for things to happen. But I just think it's a healthy balance of do what you can, but there's try to solve the problems when problems pop up. I don't think God wants you, if you're driving if you're driving down the road and you hit a patch of ice, you can't just let go of the steering wheel and hope God drives the car. I think your better choice is to hold on to the steering wheel, pump the brakes, take evasive maneuvers, try to save your car from going in the ditch. But pray, at the same time, be like, Jesus, help me, and maybe a combination of the two is where you need to be. But for me, it's like, if I can just chill out and be patient, the issue tends to work itself out anyway. But I get all worked up. I'm getting worked up about this car. Back and forth. I'm a lot better at this age and this day of my life to quell it when it surfaces. I'm able to tamp it down or kind of, but it's kind of an up and down. It's not a straight line. I get anxious and anxiety, then it goes down. Then I go back up and then I go back down. I think right now I'm just kind of locked. I need some sort of, maybe is the worst thing you can say to me. Maybe is the worst. It's the one thing I don't deal with very well. On any subject at all, name the category where the answer could be yes, no, or maybe. I would rather hear no than maybe. I'd rather know that it's no than wonder if it could be a yes or could be a no. I don't know. Like I can't deal with maybe, yes or no. Black or white, no gray. I don't want to. I just want to know one way or another. I'm pretty decisive on the flip side of that. I don't wallow a lot when I make a decision. Boom. Yes. No. I don't usually him and haw about stuff. And I know when a maybe really means a no, but someone's just trying to be nice. Like, I mean, I get it. A job lead. I had a job. I talked about this a few times recently. I had a company where I interviewed with the HR person, then I interviewed with the lead software designer, then I interviewed with the CEO of the company for over an hour. And he even said, "You'd be a good fit here. Let's just get the paperwork done and figure this out." And then all of a sudden, poof, it wasn't like I was ghosted, but I reached out to the woman at HR after the CEO interview and she goes, "Oh, that sounds great. Let's get this moving." And then boom, a week goes by and I hear nothing and I reach back out to her and she's like, "Well, we're still trying to the CEO hasn't given me the full approval and blah, and it just turned into like it was basically maybe. And then a week later, well, maybe try again. So I waited 2 weeks. I got another maybe. I'm like, I'll wait 2 more weeks. I'll send one more very terse, not rude, but 2 lines. I'll send a 2 to 3 sentence email max. And then I'm never gonna contact her again. And I think that might have been too many times to reach back out. That was a maybe, that was a no. And I mean, the only thing I can think of is that they looked me up on Google and were like, "Oh shit, we can't do that." It was about a 400-person company. So it wasn't a huge company, but it was in that sweet spot, but probably a little bit too big. Definitely going to do a background check. But I mean, I'd interviewed with the CEO, so if anything, I had his direct line. I could have I alluded to the fact that I had some stuff to talk about in that regard, but I didn't think this was the right time to talk about it. And it kind of just, so it wasn't like trying to hide it from them. I just wanted to, wait further down. Anyway, I think that's what happened. But they just couldn't say no. They're just like, we'll just keep saying maybe until he stops calling. There's countless examples of being in a hurry. Sometimes being in a hurry will not bring the solution to whatever it is any faster than just being patient. It's going to come when it comes. But if you're in a hurry and you stress out, you'll grind yourself to a pulp waiting for it. Whereas if you're just patient, it's going to happen at the same time, but you'll be in a better mindset when it happens. You can't make spring come any faster than it will. It's winter. We're getting to be winter here in Houston and I'm already like, y'all said I was going to hate the summer here. I would go back to 102 anytime. I'm not quite the southern guy who has to put on a winter coat when it's 70 degrees outside. And I can go out in a t-shirt down to like 40 and and be fine just to walk around. I'm not going to sit outside for a long time when it's 40 degrees. But on a hike, I would probably take off a sweater and go in a t-shirt once the body warms up. But spring, it's going to come when it comes. You can't make it come any faster. I mean, you can build a greenhouse. You can come up with ways to make crops and plants survive better in the winter. You can use artificial lights to make up for the lack of sunshine, but it's not the same. And it's a lot of labor and a lot of money to do that compared to just waiting for the spring, and your returns might not be worth the effort and money that you put into it. In my old house, we had a lot of plants. My ex she was so into plants that it didn't take long before my house looked like Poison Ivy's house from the Batman comics. Plants everywhere. And I thought it was cool. I'm a black thumb, so I was like, I did learn what plants I can take care of and what plants I should stay away from in the process. But we had a sunroom. And in order to keep the plants from dying, we'd have to run propane heaters out there in the sunroom on certain cold nights to keep the plants from freezing and getting frosted. We had to cluster all of the plants into the middle of the sunroom. to keep them away from the windows, because the windows were the draft and that's where the bad stuff happens. But if we clustered all the plants together into the middle of the room and then put chairs on the outside of the room for the winter and made it kind of the opposite of what you do in the summer, um, and put space heaters like Mr. Buddy propane heaters, and I did have an electric space heater out there. And if you strategically place them, you could keep the plants warm. And now we're paying a heating bill to heat plants, to keep plants from dying. Right? So, I mean, you can do things to kind of combat winter, but winter's not going away. The only thing about that sunroom the reason why it was worth it to me is because in the middle of winter, when I'm lacking the sunlight and I'm going stir crazy, I could go out and during the middle of a day, on a sunny day, it could be 30 degrees outside, and the sun coming through the windows would heat that room up to about 75, 80 degrees, and it would get hot no matter what the temperature was outside, just from the sun. And I had two lounge chairs out there, recliners, like the zero gravity folding recliner chairs. And I would go out there and just sit in the recliner for like an hour or two when the sun was beating directly down on me. And that would be a good way to combat the winter blues, just getting that vitamin D, the sun, all that. And so, but you're fighting against the current, and sometimes you just have to go with the flow. And then yesterday, Jesus calling once again. Do not be surprised by the fiery attacks on your mind. This is what I'm doing. I mean, this is what I had, fiery attacks on my mind all week. I was expecting to drop my car off Monday and have my car back by lunchtime on Wednesday. Pay the $800, get on with my life. When you struggle to find me and to live in my peace, don't let discouragement set in. You are engaged in massive warfare, spiritually speaking. The evil one abhors your closeness to me, and his demonic underlings are determined to destroy our intimacy. When you find yourself in the thick of battle, call upon my name. Jesus, help me. At that instant, the battle becomes mine, and your role is to simply trust me as I fight for you. My name, properly used, has unlimited power to bless and protect. At the end of time, every knee will bow in heaven, on earth, and under the earth when my name is proclaimed. People who have used Jesus as a shoddy swear word will fall down in terror on that awesome day. I'm one of those. But all those who have drawn near me through trustingly uttering my name will be filled with inexpressible and glorious joy. This is your great hope as you await my return. And so for this one, I had to make the whole thing bold, because this one just like, boom. I'm looking at the comments about the word maybe. Yeah, I get what you were meaning. Maybe a significant other coming. Maybe you're building. I was talking about the word maybe being something I can't deal with, but that was not actually in conjunction with those comments. That was just coincidence. And then you said maybe as a cop out, John. Oops, sorry, my last comment was addressing Adam's timing with the word maybe. It wasn't directed at yours. Yeah, I didn't see it as you saying something to her about maybe being a cop out. I felt like I knew exactly what you meant about maybe, because I just talked about this. People will tell you maybe when they mean no. If it's a yes, they're going to tell you yes. The only reason they would say a maybe instead of a yes is because they might need another, yes, I want to hire you. I just got to get the hiring manager to agree, things like, if we're talking about a job. If a girl tells you maybe, that's a no. Even if it's a yes, it's a no. Because if it's a maybe that turns into a yes, that means that she had another guy she was trying out, and she decided to like she maybe two other guys, and she decided to pick you. But at that point, you should just be like, nah, I'm good. Sloppy thirds, sloppy seconds. I don't need that. I should be your first choice. Right? So, but otherwise, if she says maybe, that means no, and she just doesn't want to say no, hopes that you just stop talking to her so that she don't got to actually say it. I mean, hey, I've been there. I know. I've done it too. So women are more guilty of that than me, but I can't say I'm innocent. So I'll be honest. Um, this whole entry on December 3rd, I talk about spiritual warfare all the time. About how many times do I talk about when you're about to level up, things get really hard all of a sudden. I feel like I'm on the cusp of a level up because of what I'm going through this week. I'm like, boy, this week really does feel like the screws are being turned a lot harder than they were for the last couple of months since I got this car. I was on Easy Street for a month. How many times do I say every time you level up, it's like Easy Street for a month or two? You're playing Sonic the Hedgehog, you get to level 4. The beginning of level 4 is easier than the end of level 2. But as you get towards the end of level 4, it's like, what the you keep dying. And you might have to try, you might have to get, you might get halfway through the level 4 with no problem at all. And then you get to this one thing and you land on the spikes every time. And you're throwing the controller and getting mad, stomping around the room, whatever you do. I know there was an Assassin's Creed level once where I was like, man, this game is easy. And then I got to this one room that you had to jump all these things and you had to time it just right. And I'm telling you, it was like an hour every time you would try, and you miss one jump, you got to start all over. If you don't die from the fall, you still have to go back to the first thing in the room and start jumping and timing all these jumps around this whole thing. And I'm telling you, it takes an hour to get to the top of this thing. And you make one small mistake and it's boom, you start over. And I'm telling you how many times I sat there, I would get so mad. Now the controllers are so expensive on the Xbox One that you're just like, you know what? I'm not going to throw it, but I got to go for a freaking walk. I got to go outside and throw a rock or do something. I got to get my anger out. It's like that in life. Every time you level up, it's like you're on Easy Street for a minute and you get to like chill out. I got that new car. It was like a month of just smooth sailing. And then all of a sudden I wake up on the first cold day and my car won't start. And it's been picking up ever since. Ticking, 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 just constantly ratcheting up the stress. And every time this happens, there's like a breakthrough there's something comes out of this. I end up at a better level when it's all said and done. And then I get the reason why I was all, the living in that tool shed. First couple of months were a breeze. And then that landlord came at me on the beginning of the 3rd month. And all of a sudden it went to complete hell. And everybody who watches this channel regularly said, that's the worst I've ever seen you since you've been doing these videos. And it was. I have not. I mean, today I was feeling it. But by the time I got on to talk to you guys, for whatever reason, I was calmer. Maybe just, this is like my therapy session with you. I don't know. But I definitely feel better now than I did earlier today. But sometimes it's just pick something and do it and get your mind off. That was my trick for the week. That's why I've got the new microphone here. That's why I've got the camera and the light, because yesterday I couldn't concentrate. I was having a hard time. I was feeling like I'm under spiritual attack because a lot of things have been going wrong this week, not just the car, but little things. Every time I sit down to do an easy task, it blows up in my face. Part of the X, I'll tell you a funny one, just a stupid one. I have an X account, etc. Up says my connection's unstable. And so hopefully it's back. Um so the spiritual attack, I've been feeling it all week. Even small things. I'm trying to figure out a way to take my meme collection from my phone and synchronize it so I can access the images with my MacBook or my phone. When I'm on Twitter, I can grab the meme that I want and drop it in where it belongs. And that, I can't even begin to tell you how complicated and hard that's turned into. You'd think it's one of those things where as software gets more intelligent, it gets more idiotic. It used to be very easy to manage your music collection. Now it's impossible. You used to be able to get good accounting software. It's impossible to find good accounting software anymore. There's certain things that were like bare bones, basic, easy to do computer stuff that was easy to do in like 1992. And now we're in 2025 and all those things are impossible to do now. Organize images into folders and keep them in sync across 3 devices. That shouldn't be that hard. That turned into a total shit show. I found a solution that's going to work, but I thought this was going to be like 15 minutes. Nah, this was screwing around. 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, half hour here, half hour there for the last week and a half. just organize images. Insane how and it just you can talk about the heater. I bought that heater in the power supply. It didn't work, and I was like, oh, I was mad. And then as soon as I calmed my mind down, the solution was right there in front of me. I'm looking right now where it was. It was sitting right there. And it worked. But I feel like I'm under attack this week. And I feel like it ramped up. This was supposed to be the week that my problem was solved with the car, and now it's even worse. So I'm just kind of, but this is what happens. The demons, what does it say? Where are we at here? The evil one abhors your closest to me. The evil one abhors your closeness to me. Satan hates it when you start getting close to God, but he can't take you away from God. You have to make that decision yourself. So he'll attack you. He'll attack you left and right, especially when you're on the right path. You'll know you're on the right path because the attacks from the demonic underlings that are determined to destroy your intimacy with God will ramp themselves up to a level that will blow your mind. And it won't be coincidence because it'll just keep happening. Boom, 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 one after the next. And then, you'll realize at some point that I'm being attacked because I'm going the right direction, and Satan doesn't want me to climb over the wall of his fortress and get to the promised land. And so he'll do whatever he can do, but he can't actually take it away from you. He can just try to discourage you and cause you to trip up on your own. That's what happened to me when I was arrested. Satan couldn't do what I did, but he certainly wedged himself into my spirit to the point where I was so depressed and miserable and angry. Angry was the word about all the crap going on in our country right now, especially during 2020 and 2021, that I finally snapped and I just started saying all kinds of crazy shit. And it was just words. And it wasn't any different than what a lot of other people were saying at the time and continue to do to this day. How many people are still laughing about Charlie Kirk getting shot in the neck and saying they're glad it happened? So, I'm not even going to judge those people because I was there. I was doing that same shit. So for me to call the pot calling the kettle black, That would be me if I judge these people. I get it. I get we're in bad times. People are going to talk and say things. Um, but like I said, I had to make that whole entry bold because I'm trying to. I'm looking at a bunch of different things here. I had to make that whole entry bold because it matches right up with my week, the day especially. Um, Still don't have a price to get my car fixed. It's freaking going on days. There's been times where I'm having like somewhat of a panic attack of sorts. Like I'm just waiting for this shop to come back and say it's going to be $2,000. And I'm right back where I was. So, and I've already spent like I'm closing in on $800 I've already dropped because of this car problem. And this is why, leading back to the topic of the show, this is why I'm not going to buy another Volkswagen, because a little electronic thing the size of an Atari 2600 game cartridge is the reason why my car not only can't be fixed, but I'm being hosed in every direction. Like a blown head gasket, at least it's straightforward. Boom, head gasket's blown. How much does it cost? 2,000 or whatever they're going to charge you. It's a pretty straightforward thing. But this little Atari cartridge, like, come on, dude. I don't know. This has left a bad taste in my mouth about Volkswagen in general, and I don't know if I got that. Alex and Analog, I just threw a donation to your chicken bucket. Have a relief to a hard week. I appreciate that, man. That's awesome. I'm thanking you right now. I've become kind of I'm bouncing around all over the place, so I don't get back to people's emails as much as I need to. Like I keep saying, I'm gonna do a video series about this exact thing. Screen share. Where are we at? If this order 66, executing order 66, sell block 6 to 6 figures, and some other catchy things. Episode 1, I'm going to talk about it. Like, this is exactly what I'm going to talk about how I've got a to-do list that's so crazy and so big that I don't know how to do it all. And I don't know what to do. And so I'm going to rely on a system that I learned a while back. And I've already started using it, but I'm going to try and do it in a way. That's part of why I set up the microphone, the camera, the light, because I'm going to do. So then when I record this stuff, I've got everything in place now that I need to record it. I can I can do screen capture easily, and I can talk right into the camera and talk and narrate the video and go back and forth between what I'm sharing on the screen. I can drop in video clips. I've got all the technical stuff figured out. So I am like this. I just made a baby step towards doing that. So it's going to happen. I just don't know exactly when. But it's like this, living in survival mode is not good. That survival mindset versus surviving versus thriving are two different things. And they don't even need to be financial. Like it's a state of mind. And I've been in like survival mode most of the time since April 2024. April 2nd, which is the day I got out of prison. As of today, I got to do a little bit of math, but as of today, I've been out of prison 612 days. That's 12 days longer than I was in prison. So I've already been out of prison longer than I was in it. Perfect. I'm 509 days away from the end of probation. So now I have less probation time than the days I was in prison. It's been 174 days since I saw the probation officer. I texted him back and forth for something. Oh, when I changed my phone number. That's the last contact I've had. So I'm not high on their list. It's exactly where you want to be. Um, I'm looking at it like, I'm doing what they're telling me to do. I'm not doing drugs. I won't even smoke a joint. I really don't even drink. I had like 2 beers on Thanksgiving, and then I hung out for quite a while. I like waited for that to leave my system before getting in the car. Even 2 beers. I wasn't just going to jump in the car, but before we even ate dinner, I'm like, "No, I'm good. I'm going to eat some food, let that pass." So, and I have no desire to drink. I don't like to drink anymore. And it's just a personal thing. I don't have anything against people who drink. I don't care. It's not my thing. A couple beers, that's fine. A little Red Bull and vodka here, a nice mixed drink or whatever. I'm not opposed to it, but as of today, I've been in Texas for 450 days. I've been in this house where I'm living right now 188 days, and I've had a car for 74 days. So it's sometimes sometimes I just look at that to kind of get in a perspective of like, look how far you've come in 612 days since you got, you know, I don't know how many days I don't know how long it's been since I officially became homeless, but I've been in Texas for 450 days. So I've been unhomeless for 450 days. And when I came home from prison, like I said, living in that apartment with who I was living with was worse than being homeless. It was worse. It was worse than being homeless. I did get on my high horse today and some of my personal rants when I was irritated about this car thing. I was complaining to God that I'm under more stress right now than when I was homeless. And at the time today it felt like that. We're getting close to Christmas, the holidays. I'm holding back on some stuff I need to do, like doing something nice for my kids for Christmas, waiting to see what the hell happens to this car. Like, and so that's stressful. This is the wrong time of year to have something like this to deal with. I hate. Yeah, let's just go back to good old screen sharing here and just pull up the slide. That's me this time of year. That is me. I don't want to take away presents from kids and ruin a whole town's Christmas, but this is the worst. This is my least favorite time of year. Some people got the Norman Rockwell painting for the holidays. That's not me, man. That never will be. And so like not everybody has this for this time of year. And I'm not bitter. It's just it's just not my time of the year. And so this kind of stress with the car and why couldn't I just take it to the garage and get it fixed straight up? Like why is this all of that? And I'm just like, okay, fine. It is what it is. It can be this is kind of something I've read somewhere and copied and pasted, but it can be incredibly difficult to move past trauma that you've been through and get past that survival mode mentality, especially when you've gone through some stuff like I've gone through. And oh my God, I didn't even touch on this one. Something really crazy happened last weekend, and I should have brought this up earlier. I'm just gonna keep. I'll keep talking about it because all the stuff I'm going through, I got slapped in the face last Saturday about how it's not that, like, there's people in this world going through worse stuff than you. That I always get that. I get on I'm upset about certain things going on right now, and you would not be feeling any different if you were sitting in my shoes, waiting to get your car fixed and all that, and the money and the stress and blah and all that. But so the trauma of what I've been through since the prison, coming home, being homeless, all of that is there. There's exhaustion, fear, there's pain, there's things that are in there that aren't just going to go away. Even when things go good right now, I always feel like I'm just one bad day away, one missed payment, one step away from going back to homeless or prison again. It can feel like an impossible challenge sometimes to find the strength and stamina to break free from trauma's hold. And, I don't think it's much different for someone who's been through physical abuse or any other form of being put through absolute hell. Um, and then, there's jealousy sometimes because I will hear about people and their complaints about their problems. And I'll just be like, yeah, if you only knew, because I know my stuff's worse than yours. But then on the flip side, like I just said, I'll encounter people who are going through worse things than me. And then I feel bad for having complained about it at all, or having self-pity when I see what some other people are going through. And so I'm having trouble focusing and whatnot. But so Saturday, I'm at the bakery. This one's kind of this has been bothering me all week too. So this will explain some things because I can't even believe I didn't talk about this yet. And it's pretty deep into the mix, but this will have to be the end of the video. Saturday, I'm working until about 4:30, 4 o'clock. It was 4:30 Saturday. And there was a good friend of mine there at the bakery, and she's from Pittsburgh. That was kind of a weird coincidence. She had worked there a long time ago, came back. We started talking on the first day that I met her. I don't know how. I think she just asked me, like I said something about I haven't been in Houston very long. Where'd you come from? Pittsburgh. Oh, I'm from Pittsburgh. Huh? And so we have like this, we bonded and have a lot in common in that regard. And so here it is, Saturday afternoon. And she's been talking a lot about wanting to go back to Pittsburgh and visit her dad. She hasn't seen her dad in a number of years, and he's getting up there in age, and she wants to go up there and visit him, and she doesn't know when, and she's trying to figure it out and blah, blah, blah. And, and I'm like, yeah, my kids are there, and I haven't seen my kids in 4 years, and so on and so forth, and the other thing. And so, there's like a little bit of synchronicity there. But so Saturday, I just punched out on the time clock. I had showed her how to use we have a sound system. You can hook your phone up to it, play music throughout the whole bakery. We take turns being DJ. I was DJ on Saturday all day. I was like, you got to take over, you're going to take over the DJ responsibilities. Here's how you connect your phone, blah, blah, blah. Then I went and punched out. I turn around and she's like, she's holding her phone like this and totally freaked out. And she looks up at me and she's like, I just got a text from my brother. My dad just died. And I'm like, holy. And so now she's like, imagine you're at work, you pick up your phone, you get a text message, dad just died. And I just punched out on the clock. What am I going to do? Be like, oh, sorry about your dad. Later. Like, no, of course not. No. So I'm like, she started to cry And there was somebody else there. It wasn't just me. There was 3 of us there, and the 2 of us were like, "Go to the back if you need. Go make your phone calls. Do what you gotta do. If you gotta go home, I'll stay. We'll figure it out. Like, if you wanna go, just go. Like, don't feel like you have like, this is not what we're, this is not how we roll here. Um, you can go." And so she was, I mean, obviously messed up from that. And so I'm hanging out for a little bit. It's going on like maybe 20 minutes or so. And she's like, she made up her mind. There's nothing I can do. I'm just going to stay till the end of my shift. Why don't you just go home, Adam? Blah, blah, blah. So and so and I will be here. I'm just going to tough it out. What am I going to do? Go, there's nothing I can do from home. I may as well, you know, and so I'm like, I reluctant. I was kind of like, okay, I didn't feel good about it, but I left. I got in my car. I had to go to the grocery store and it's pouring rain. And so I'm like, so I reached out. I start get out my phone. I start texting the 2 of the other girls at work. And I'm like, look, this just happened. She just got a text message that her dad died. I was like, go home if you need to. And she wouldn't go. And I'm like, can you two please reach out to her, let her know that like everybody's got your back, like you're the 2 best people to reach out. So they both called her right away. As soon as they got my message, they called her and they're like, look, we'll come in. If you need to go home, we will come in. And I was still in the neighborhood. I was at the grocery store. I'm like, if you want me to turn around and go back, I'll go. I mean, I don't really want to per se, but that's not something I would say no to. I mean, duh. So, um, but yeah, I mean, I'd been there since like 8 in the morning. So I was like, but that's not, this is someone's trauma here. So, and we all care about each other. This is a good place to be. These are good people. Um, so I was just like, I got to tell some people, like, I got to spread the word so that, she knows she's not there alone and that, what I mean? She doesn't have to like she doesn't have to feel like she can't tell anybody. I'm like, I'll tell them. So I'm from the parking lot of the grocery store. I'm just reaching out, sending text messages, trying to like, you know, what do we do? She decided to stay for the rest of the shift. And everybody tried talking her into going home, but she didn't. And so throughout the week, I've sent her a couple of messages. Hey, how you doing? I was supposed to work there yesterday. That's another thing. The car, not having my car. I had to give up a shift yesterday, but they didn't care because business was slow. So they're like, yeah, we're fine. We're not even going to have somebody come in your stead. We'll be fine. Business is slow. Um, so I was supposed to work with her yesterday, but I didn't, make it because of the car. But I've had a couple of text messages back and forth, how you doing? And obviously not great. I mean, duh. I mean, I can kind of relate to that. I watched my mom die. When my stepdad died, I had just gone. Now that both my parents died from cancer, so it was a slow burn. We had plenty of time to say goodbye. My stepdad, when he died, I wasn't there, but I was there like not even a week before. I was actually when I found out my dad died, when I got the text message, I was in San Francisco at a nightclub, a private nightclub, hanging out with a bunch of DJs, rave DJs, famous ones that I'd made friends with at a rave in Washington, D.C. when I was DJing a little bit and dabbling in that. And I'm sitting here watching 2 guys in wheelchairs doing these crazy stunts in the middle of a dance floor at a nightclub that's also an art gallery and a coffee shop in the middle of San Francisco. And I get this text message that my dad just died and I didn't know what to do. And I'm like, eventually I made it back to the hotel and I was also there on a business trip, and this was just like a side thing. Um, and so that was weird. I was with my mom when she died. I rode my bicycle all the way up to Rochester, New York from Pittsburgh, which is about 310 miles up. My mom lived for 2 more days after I got there. Everybody said that I told her I was gonna do it about 2 weeks before I did it. It took me 2 days to get up there, 2.5 days to get up there but I told her I was doing it 2 weeks before I did it. They said my mom would have died 2 weeks ago if I didn't do that. So she lived other people have said, Prepper Nurse 1 used to be a nurse. He said this happened all the time. People will wait to die if there's something like that that's going to happen. Like they're waiting to see somebody, or they're waiting for their family to be there or whatever. People who are dying the slow burn from cancer or whatever. Sometimes they'll live an extra 2-3 weeks because they're waiting for somebody to come see them. And that's kind of what my mom did. She just like waited an extra couple of weeks, waited for me to ride my bicycle up there. And then after my mom died, I was up there for a few days, turn around. I rode my bicycle about 400 miles to get back to Pittsburgh, but I went like a very remote, quiet, desolate route with no, I was in the middle of the Allegheny National Forest on a dirt road that a car couldn't even get to because of all the fallen trees on the road, bawling my eyes out. Not a human being, or the closest human being would have been 15, 20 miles away from where I was. Like I needed that. I was at a job interview once. Crazy. I've told the story about the job interview on my channel before. But I'll skip that. The end of the job interview, it was one of the craziest job interviews I ever went on. It was stupid. We'll just leave it at that. I walked out into the lobby. There's a text message. Your grandfather just died. Out of nowhere. Now he was older. He was in his 80s. So it wasn't like, we knew it would happen someday, but it wasn't like anybody was expecting it to just boom, done. So I can kind of relate to what that must have been like at work. But I mean, in the middle of the shift, you're working, you look at your phone. Oh my God. Like, and then the synchronicity of that for me is her dad's in Pittsburgh. She hasn't seen her dad for a long time. And all of a sudden now she can't. And she's actually like, I can tell she's feeling horrible because she should have went and seen her dad. And now I've got 2 kids in Pittsburgh I haven't seen since 2022, other than like one time. And I'm in the same boat. I want to go see my kids, but I don't have a car that can do it. I don't have, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, I'm feeling that same thing. And I just find it so synchronistic in a bad way that like it's the exact same city, Houston to Pittsburgh. I've got people in Pittsburgh I need to go see, and I can't, and I want to. And so like that whole thing that she's going through with her dad being in Pittsburgh, or and then what happened, like it hit me. Like I've been thinking about this all week, and that's part of the reason why mentally I'm fried right now, because it just that makes me think too much. Like I need to put my head down and just do what needs to be done to get to that point. But it's like that's too much of a coincidence. That's not really, I don't want to say like, I don't know how to explain it, but like that just goes beyond coincidental. I'm here in Houston working with somebody who's also from Pittsburgh, who has family she hasn't seen in a number of years, and here I am in the same boat. And like that was like a slap in the face for me. Like, don't, like a warning, don't let time go by without doing what you have to do, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? And maybe that's one of the, maybe that's one of the leveling up things that I got to do. But it's like I can't now I'm thinking about that too much. And so like I try not to like dwell too much on it, but that it's just another one of those I think about that and I'm like, who cares about the stupid car? Like, that I wouldn't trade I wouldn't trade the week I'm having with the week that she's having. I wouldn't trade that. I'll take the beat up Volkswagen and, do what's got to be done. I would rather have that week than that week that she had and is having. So, and that's still fresh wounds from just not even a week ago. Um, so, man, I mean, that's heavy on me just because it's just putting things in my head that I don't want. at- It's like they're there, but it's not gonna do me any good to dwell on it. And I guess that's it. Um, don't put off things like that you need to do because there's no guarantee that you'll be able to do it. And I can talk about that more, but we are kind of at that 3 hour mark, that sweet spot where it's time to wrap this up. Maybe one of these days when I get off probation and I can travel again, I would love to come around and visit y'all and maybe go grab a beer, bite, meet at a campsite, do whatever. I think if I was doing this back in the day, if I had gotten on YouTube back when I should have, back in 2021, when I really was like gonna dig deep and do it, if I would have just sucked it up and did it, I don't know, man. It's just like life would have been a lot different. Um, I would have, like one of the things I wanted to do was have friends all over the country that I could just, circle around and to meet people and do things like that. Like, like the van life people and other people that you see doing that. And now I see that that's possible. And the more that this channel grows, the more that things move forward. I think that when I start doing more this video series, I think I'll be able to trick the algorithm into giving me a little bit more traction. I've been watching videos in the background about how the new algorithm works for 2025, and um, they basically give you like a social credit score here on YouTube now. It's called your trust score, and that basically relates to how many impressions they're going to dish out for your videos. And it has to do with a lot of things, but it also has to do with, do you say the wrong thing? COVID's a scam? Cut it. Cut the mic. So um but the videos that I'm gonna do, the Order 66 videos, I won't swear because they'll be narrated. They'll be scripted way more than what I'm doing with these live streams, and thought out in advance. Kind of, if I make a mistake when I'm recording the audio or the video and audio or whatever, I can edit that out. I can retake, I can do it again, cut. I even got my little cut thing in the background here, wherever I got a point right there. You can see the little clapboard from YouTube. So I can do a little bit professionalism here. And if it's on point, if it's a topic that has more mass appeal, like this kind of like, how do you put your life back together story instead of just sitting around talking about what went on this week, that might be something that gains traction. I want to try and use YouTube Shorts and some of the other things to just I got to keep poking the bear until I wake it up. And so, I definitely am shadow banned. I'm definitely, the things I'm saying are true, but to say that I'm powerless to do anything about it, I don't think that's true. Um, I can still be me. I can still be abrasive. I can still have a bad attitude and say things that are real. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but there might still be a way to break through the fence and get there. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you once again, Alex and Analog, our awesome channel member, for the chicken bucket donation. And speaking of speaking of chicken buckets, we were talking. Oh my god, this is like, I guess. Do I even? No, I'm not even. We're done. I could jump right into something, and then we're gonna be another 20 minutes. So save it for another day. I can drop this anytime. Um, it just doesn't fit with today. And so with that, I'm gonna say thank you very much for showing up, the awesome channel members, once again. And we will have the members only live stream on Sunday at whatever time that is. And once I get my meme collection figured out, how to organize it properly, I mean, this is only for Twitter. Like, this is how I will grow an audience on Twitter, is dank memes. It's working already, and I'm not putting any effort into it, but I got enough of a positive result from just screwing around that I'm like, if I get if I can weaponize my meme collection to the point where it's organized and belt fed, and I can just be like, bum, 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 and lay them down. I'll go from having 300 followers on X, where I am right now, to having like 1,000, and then it'll go to 10,000 once I get approved for monetization there. And I think the X crowd can come over to YouTube, and I mean, that could beat the algorithm too. If I can get people to come over from X to YouTube by tricking them into, coming in to watch some long form stuff instead of short attention span theater. So I got to try and I got to do whatever I can. And I felt like I was getting traction there. I was doing nothing but leaving smart ass comments on other people's posts. And I'm getting like, yesterday I got like almost 100,000 impressions. So for doing nothing but being a smart ass. So I'm good at that. I'll use it to my advantage, and we'll live to fight another day. But with that, I'm going to say peace out to everybody. Thanks for showing up, and we'll do this again next week. Same time, same place. Later.